Chapter 4998. He risked his life, risked his life, he risked his life. Everyone was extremely excited. Barbarian Emperor was actually forced to fight with his life by Ji Fei. This was something that no one could have imagined. It was unbelievable. One should know that Ji Fei wasn't an Emperor Realm expert. An Emperor Realm expert was actually forced to fight with his life by a guy who wasn't even an Emperor Realm expert. This had never happened before in the history of the Void Realm. Everyone stared nervously at Barbarian Emperor who was rushing towards Ji Fei. "Do you think I'm afraid of you?" Ji Fei held the Emperor beheading saber in one hand and the golden battle spear in the other as he charged towards Barbarian Emperor. Clang! The sound of metal colliding resounded. Ji Fei was sent flying several dozen li away. He crashed through a mountain and fell into the mountain ridge. A saber was stabbed into Barbarian Emperor's chest. This saber was the Emperor beheading saber. Ji Fei took the Barbarian Emperor's punch head-on, but the Emperor beheading saber in his hand was stabbed into Barbarian Emperor's chest at the last moment. The Emperor beheading saber was a half-step peerless Dao artifact that could kill Emperor Realm experts. Barbarian Emperor didn't expect that he would die under the Emperor beheading saber. Even Emperor Realm experts might die if they were injured by the Emperor beheading saber. Damn it! Barbarian Emperor wasn't willing to die like this. However, what could he do? The power of the Emperor beheading saber started to take away his life force. He fell from the sky and it seemed like he wouldn't be able to survive. The Emperor beheading saber that was stabbed into Barbarian Emperor's body was rapidly devouring his life force. "Father," Man Yu rushed towards Barbarian Emperor in despair. He couldn't believe that his invincible father was defeated by a guy who wasn't even an Emperor Realm expert. The Emperor beheading saber was said to be able to kill Emperor Realm experts. Barbarian Emperor naturally wouldn't be able to survive after being injured by the Emperor beheading saber. Go quickly. Barbarian Emperor fell into the mountain ridge outside the South Barbarian capital. He used the last of his strength to send Man Yu away. He wanted to preserve his bloodline. The teleportation technique used by an Emperor Realm cultivator was naturally extraordinary. No one knew where Man Yu was sent to. Even the West Sea Old Dragon Emperor who was watching the battle from the side couldn't see any flaws. At this time, the Red-Browed Eagle King and the others were also rushing towards the place where Ji Fei had fallen. Will Ji Fei still be alive this time? Among the 8 Magus Emperors, some Magus kings wished that Ji Fei could die so that they could divide his territory and take over his forces. The Witch tribe wanted to become the master of South China again, so they naturally didn't want to see Ji Fei defeat the Barbarian Emperor. Roar! At this moment, an angry roar suddenly came from the mountain ridge in the distance. In the next moment, an unprecedentedly powerful wave of Yuan Qi spread out. Everyone was shocked to the extreme. They saw a figure rushing out from the mountain ridge. This person was none other than Ji Fei, who had been sent flying by Barbarian Emperor's punch. Everyone was dumbfounded at the sight of this. Master, Red-Browed Eagle King and the others were in disbelief when they saw that Ji Fei could still rush out. At this time, Ji Fei directly appeared beside the Barbarian Emperor and looked at him coldly. He knew that the Barbarian Emperor wouldn't be able to survive because his qi and blood were rapidly flowing out. "Greetings, new Emperor." Someone directly knelt down in front of Ji Fei. The South China finally had a new master. The Barbarian Emperor finally died. His qi and blood were completely devoured by the sovereign beheading saber and he became a dry corpse. The Lord of South China actually ended up like this. It was really sad. Ji Fei stretched out his right hand and the sovereign beheading saber that was inserted into the Barbarian Emperor's body flew up and was grabbed by him. Even the golden armor on the Barbarian Emperor couldn't block the sovereign beheading saber. Countless people were envious of the sovereign beheading saber, but no one dared to use it because whoever touched it would be courting death. After the sovereign beheading saber devoured the Barbarian Emperor's qi and blood, the power in the saber didn't seem to become much stronger. Instead, the saber quietened down. "Greetings, new Emperor." More and more people knelt down in front of Ji Fei. The people of the Sorcerer tribe felt a little complicated at this time. None of the 8 great shaman kings acknowledged the position of Ji Yufei as the new emperor of South China because in their hearts, the emperor of South China was the shaman emperor of the sorcerer tribe. However, the shaman emperor didn't appear. No one knew why the shaman emperor didn't make a move, and no one knew the whereabouts of the shaman emperor. In other words, even the people of the sorcerer tribe didn't know where the shaman emperor was. The people of the sorcerer tribe were extremely anxious. If the shaman emperor appeared at this time, the sorcerer tribe could share South China with Ji Yufei equally. However, in the end, the shaman emperor still didn't appear. With the fall of the barbarian emperor, the 19 vassal kings of South China had no other choice but to submit to the new emperor. If they didn't submit, they would die. Ji Yufei would never be soft-hearted. However, the strange thing was that among the 19 vassal kings of South China, none of them dared to resist Ji Yufei. The fierce Tiger King, who was loyal to the barbarian emperor, was the first among the 19 vassal kings to declare allegiance to Ji Yufei. This made people's jaws drop. The new emperor ascended to the throne, and the great crisis of South China that was about to descend into chaos was resolved just like that. The 19 vassal kings returned to their own fiefdoms. When Xiao Ya, Red-Browed Eagle King, Qiu Qianjian, Han Chong, Saber King Luo Lai, Shan Kuei, and the others received the news, they felt as if they were dreaming. It was hard for them to imagine that their master had become the new emperor of South China. However, Ji Yufei still had a problem now, and that was the sorcerer tribe. Because the shaman emperor had come out of seclusion, the sorcerer tribe naturally wouldn't easily submit to Ji Yufei. However, Ji Yufei didn't care. He was just a passerby in this world. His purpose of becoming the new emperor of South China was to go to the most mysterious place in this world. In the South China royal capital, the magnificent imperial palace had changed its master. The imperial palace was already in a mess, but it quickly returned to peace because the sorcerer tribe had taken over the entire South China royal capital, which naturally included the imperial palace. The sorcerer tribe had already assembled an army in the South China royal capital, and they took over the South China royal capital. Although Ji Yufei defeated the barbarian emperor, how could he take over the entire South China royal capital by himself? Even if he was a peerless powerhouse, he couldn't take over a city by himself. When the war between the emperors came to an end, Red-Browed Eagle King, Xiao Ya, and the others were leading Ji Yufei's army directly to the South China royal capital. At this time, Ji Yufei was standing at the highest point of the South China royal capital, at the top of the South China royal palace, overlooking the entire South China royal capital. The world thinks that I want to become the Lord of South China, but they don't know that my ambition is not here. Ji Yufei sighed. Although the scene in front of him was very tempting, being high above and having supreme power, and countless people were obsessed with power, he was different. To Ji Yufei, all of these were just fleeting clouds. Oh, then what is your ambition? Chapter 4999. Ji Yufei stood at the top of the imperial city and looked down at the whole city. In this world, all living beings were like ants. He saw the sorcerer tribe people seizing the properties that belonged to the barbarian emperor. He saw countless people rushing to the city gate and dragging their families out of the city. He even saw some people looting in the city. Some places were on fire. In the eyes of Ji Yufei, all these were just fleeting clouds. He was not moved at all. My ambition is not here. Ji Yufei sighed. Then what is your ambition? A voice suddenly sounded behind Ji Yufei. Ji Yufei turned around and saw a masked woman in white standing about 20 feet away from him without him noticing. Who are you? Ji Yufei was a little surprised. This woman actually came behind him, but he did not notice it. The other party's cultivation level must be higher than his. Of course, for Ji Yufei, cultivation level did not mean anything. He was not an emperor yet, but his combat strength was enough to shock the world. One should know that he killed the barbarian emperor and became the new emperor of South China. Haven't you always wanted to see me? The masked woman in white said. Her voice was soft and gave people a feeling of a spring breeze. You are the sorcerer emperor? Ji Yufei was surprised. He never thought that the sorcerer emperor, who was famous in the world 3,000 years ago, was actually a woman. It was just that she was masked and he did not know whether she was ugly or beautiful. However, when one's cultivation level reached the Sorcerer Emperor level, it was just a matter of thought to become as beautiful as a fairy. Don't tell me you came to me to challenge me. Ji Fei looked at the masked woman in white and smiled. Not interested. The woman in white shook her head. Then why are you looking for me? Ji Fei asked curiously. Nothing, I just want to chat with you. The tone of the woman in white was still very soft and calm. What, chat? Ji Fei couldn't help but be stunned when he heard it. So simple. Who would believe it? In any case, he didn't believe it. Not bad, the new emperor of Nanman. Nanman will respect you from now on. The witch emperor said. I don't care. Ji Fei shook his head. Although the southern barbarian sovereign was one of the 5 sovereigns, that was not what he wanted. He wanted to leave this void plane and return to Eternal World. Here, he didn't have a single relative. Even if he became the emperor here, or even the realm lord of this world, what fun was there in that? His family and friends were not in this world, so Ji Fei was all alone here. I'm really curious what you want. The shaman emperor was very curious. Such a powerful existence actually didn't want anything? How was this possible? I just want to go to the empty beginning land to take a look. Ji Fei's expression turned solemn. What? When the shaman emperor heard this, she, who had always been very calm, was finally moved. The land of virtual beginning, the palace of origin? The witch emperor looked at Ji Fei in shock. Her eyes were extremely bright. Why, you know this place? When Ji Fei heard this, he hurriedly asked. Of course, back then, if it wasn't for, the witch emperor's eyes dimmed. She seemed to have recalled some unhappy things. If you want to go to that place, you can look for me. Goodbye. After saying that, the witch emperor disappeared within the void, leaving no trace behind. Even Ji Fei could only see a silhouette disappearing before his eyes in an instant. So fast. Ji Fei couldn't help but be moved. The witch emperor's speed was the fastest person he had seen since he entered the void plane. Intuition told Ji Fei that this witch emperor was very strong. No, I want to go there to look for you. Ji Fei suddenly came back to his senses and couldn't help but smile bitterly. The void plane was so big. It was difficult to find a person even if he was as strong as he was. The war between emperors had come to an end. However, the whole southern barbarian was still in turmoil. The calmness on the surface couldn't hide the uneasiness in the dark. The sorcerer tribe began to purge the old subordinates of the barbarian emperor. Everyone knew that this day would come, but no one thought that it would come so quickly. The peace in southern barbarian, which had just been peaceful for a few days, was broken by a sudden war. The army of the sorcerer tribe had actually clashed with Ji Fei's army. The army led by the red-browed eagle king and Xiao Ya was actually blocked by the army of the sorcerer tribe outside the city gate, not allowing them to enter the city. How could this be? The army under the command of the red-browed eagle king immediately fought with the army of the sorcerer tribe. The army guarding the city was the army of Wu Ying, one of the 8 great shaman kings. Previously, he didn't think that Ji Fei would win. He made a bet with the heaven-battering king that if he lost, he would have to eat dirt. This guy was a man of his word. He actually really ate dirt. Wu Ying became the first shaman king in the history of the sorcerer tribe to eat dirt. This was a great humiliation. Therefore, when he saw the army under Ji Fei, Wu Ying was very unhappy. His attitude was naturally not good. It would be strange if there was no conflict between the two sides. The other armies of the sorcerer tribe heard the news and rushed over to join the battle. Therefore, the matter became more and more serious. In the end, it became a huge war. How could the 200,000 troops under the command of the red-browed eagle king be a match for the army of the sorcerer tribe? Soon, they were defeated. They were chased by the army of the sorcerer tribe all the way to the mountains 100 miles away, leaving behind countless corpses. Even Xiao Ya was injured. Her left arm was slashed in the chaotic battle. When the war broke out, Ji Fei was not in the southern barbarian royal capital. Instead, he was in the West Sea. The old dragon emperor of the West Sea invited Ji Fei to the West Sea Dragon Palace as a guest. Ji Yufei did not gain anything from the West Sea Dragon Palace. Instead, he gained a disciple. He had made a bet with Long Xiaoju. Long Xiaoju lost, so he wanted to be his disciple no matter what. This made him very helpless and he could only accept this disciple. As for the people of the Ling Tian Palace, when they saw that Ji Yufei had killed the barbaric emperor, they were so scared that they did not dare to show their faces. Even the barbaric emperor was killed by this ruthless person. Unless the palace master of the Ling Tian Palace came personally, who else could do anything to this ruthless person? At this time, on the Funyo Ridge 100 miles away from the southern barbarian royal capital, there was a gloomy atmosphere. Xiao Ya and the others had set up camp here, and at a glance, they were all exhausted and blood-stained soldiers. These soldiers were the elites of the barbarian imperial city, Heavenly Eagle City, Black Fog City, and Thousand Beast City. However, compared to the army of the sorcerer tribe, the combat power of Xiao Ya and the others was not just a little bit weaker. Your Highness. Suddenly, Shan Kuei rushed up from the mountain. Your Highness, this is bad. The army of the sorcerer tribe has surrounded us. What should we do? Shan Kuei directly knelt in front of Xiao Ya, his voice trembling. What are you panicking for? Xiao Ya shouted. She looked down the mountain and saw flags fluttering in the wind. Countless soldiers of the sorcerer tribe had surrounded the entire mountain. The expressions of the surrounding red-browed Eagle King, Lunar Divine Fist Han Chong, Saber King Luo Lai, and One-Armed Sword King Qiu Qianjian changed drastically. The sorcerer tribe actually dares. Everyone was shocked and angry. This is too much. Chapter 5000. The army of the sorcerer tribe had caught up and surrounded the entire mountain. Was the sorcerer tribe trying to kill them all? Your Majesty, do you really want to destroy the red-browed Eagle King and the rest? At the foot of the mountain, in the main tent of a military camp, the Shaman King, Wu Ying, sat high up, with many warriors in armor sitting on both sides. Each of the 8 Shaman Kings of the sorcerer tribe had their own troops and forces. Wu Ying's force was not the strongest among the 8 Shaman Kings, it was only above average. The Shaman King who was stronger than Wu Ying did not appear. We'll see. Wu Ying said indifferently. But, a tall warrior who looked like a black iron tower wanted to say something but stopped. No buts, you just have to listen to my orders. Wu Ying waved his hand. Yes, Your Majesty, the warriors said in unison. At this time, in the palace hall of the Nanman royal capital, the Shaman Kings were not as relaxed as Wu Ying. The throne in the middle of the palace hall was empty. None of the 7 Shaman Kings dared to sit on it because it belonged to one person. However, that person did not appear. What is Wu Ying doing? He actually fought with Ji Yufei's men, doesn't he know the consequences? In the hall, sitting on the first seat to the left of the throne was a white-haired, majestic-looking old man who was almost roaring. This old man was the great Shaman King, Wu Tianhe. Wu Tianhe was the most senior Shaman King among the 8 Shaman Kings. The other Shaman Kings had always followed his lead. When they saw Wu Tianhe suddenly fly into a rage, they could not help but be shocked. Yes, Ji Yufei even killed the barbarian emperor. Shaman King Wu Liang said worriedly. The consequences are serious. The consequences are very serious. A fat man who was half lying on a chair sighed. Fatty Wu, don't be alarmist. Don't you understand Wu Ying's intentions? He is testing Ji Yufei. Shaman King Wu Fang said. Testing? It's not something that just anyone can test. Wu Tianhe sneered. Yes, we have formed an alliance with him. Fatty Wu nodded. There's no harm in testing Ji Yufei. Wu Ying knows what he's doing and won't go overboard. The Witch King, Wu Qingshan, said. Ji Yufei is incomparably domineering. The consequences of offending him are unpredictable. There were also Shaman Kings who held different opinions. No matter what, the matter of Wu Ying's roar coming out will be handled by him. I won't interfere. The Great Witch King, Wu Changhe, stood up angrily and walked out. When the other Shaman Kings in the hall saw this, they did not dare to say anything. On the surface, the sorcerer tribe looked very united, but in reality, the sorcerer tribe was not united internally. The 8 great Shaman Kings were not of one mind. Among the 7 mage kings, there were people who supported Master Wu Ying. Clearly, the great mage king, Wu Changhe, did not support Master Wu Ying. Those who supported the Wu tribe to win were nothing more than to test Ji Yufei. If Ji Yufei did not make a move, then the Wu tribe would have the opportunity to unify the entire southern barbarians and become the master of the southern barbarians. After all, the sorcerer emperor of the sorcerer tribe had also come out of seclusion. However, this was risky. The great witch king obviously did not want to take the risk because no one knew the consequences of testing Ji Yufei. One had to know that Ji Yufei had even killed the barbarian emperor. Would Ji Yufei be afraid of the sorcerer tribe? What a joke. At this time, Xiao Ya, the red-browed eagle king, and the others who were trapped on the crouching bull ridge were extremely anxious. They did not know if the sorcerer tribe would really attack them. Ji Yufei did not appear either. Moreover, the sorcerer emperor had come out of seclusion. If the sorcerer emperor stalled Ji Yufei and the sorcerer tribe's army attacked, they would all be annihilated. Master, where did you go? On the crouching bull ridge, Xiao Ya looked at the sky and could not calm down for a long time. The sorcerer tribe had really gone too far. The barbarian emperor was killed by her master. Without her master, the sorcerer tribe would not even be able to break into the southern barbarian imperial city. The sorcerer tribe did not do anything at all. It could be said that all of this was fought for by Ji Yufei. But now, the sorcerer tribe had actually betrayed the alliance and wanted to monopolize everything that originally belonged to Ji Yufei. This was like stabbing Ji Yufei in the back. Xiao Ya, the red-browed eagle king, and the others did not know where Ji Yufei had gone. Ji Yufei was invited away by the West Sea Old Dragon Emperor. That was a very sudden matter and almost no one knew about it. At this time, Ji Yufei had already left the West Sea and was rushing back to the southern barbarians. However, there was one more person by his side. This person was Long Xiaoju. After Long Xiaoju acknowledged Ji Yufei as her master, she clung to Ji Yufei and asked Ji Yufei to teach her the array Dao. How could Ji Yufei have the time to teach her? He directly threw a book on the essentials of array Dao for her to cultivate on her own. However, Long Xiaoju, who obtained the essentials of array Dao, pestered Ji Yufei even more. Because these were all new things, some parts even conflicted with the array Dao that she had learned, so she kept asking Ji Yufei to explain it to her. Ji Yufei was annoyed and slipped away. Who would have thought that this little girl was very clever? She knew that Ji Yufei was going back to the southern barbarians and actually waited for Ji Yufei on the path that Ji Yufei had to pass through. Ji Yufei was really speechless. A little girl who had been reborn and reincarnated was enough to annoy him. Now, there was another Long Xiaoju. He really had a headache. However, Long Xiaozhou's talent was not bad and was worth cultivating. Otherwise, Ji Yufei would not have agreed to accept the little princess of the dragon clan from the West Sea as a disciple. Master, what does this text mean? Master, how can I condense the array pattern in the void? Master, Ji Yufei was really going crazy. They walked and stopped all the way. After dawdling for a long time, they still had not left the territory of the West Sea. At this time, at the foot of the Funyo Ridge, 100 miles away from the southern barbarian royal capital, in the military camp of the sorcerer tribe, Wu Yin began to call out the generals and the troops in the military camp began to gather. On the mountain ridge, little Ya and the others who saw this scene were shocked and angry. Looking at the formation of the sorcerer tribe army at the foot of the mountain, it was obvious that they were going to attack. Do they really dare? Even the red-browed eagle king, who was used to seeing the world, was shocked by the formation of the sorcerer tribe army at the foot of the mountain. Those shaman kings were not so easy to deal with. The 8 shaman kings were all ambitious and ruthless heroes of their generation. The reason why the barbarian emperor did not harden his heart to kill the sorcerer tribe for 3,000 years was because the barbarian emperor was still alive, and the other reason was because of the 8 shaman kings. Especially the great shaman king, he was an old antique. 3,000 years ago, it was he who protected the barbarian emperor and retreated. Otherwise, the barbarian emperor would really be in danger. The great shaman king was able to compete with the barbarian emperor. Naturally, he was outstanding. They are courting death. Master is back, How can they still live? Saber King Luo Lai gritted his teeth and said. At this time, a horn sounded at the foot of the mountain. Then, the sorcerer tribe army at the foot of the mountain began to attack. Chapter 5001. Wu, a horn sounded in the army camp at the foot of the Funyo Ridge. Then, the sorcerer tribe army rushed out of the camp and split into 5 groups, heading straight up the mountain. The sorcerer tribe army was imposing and they were all infantrymen. Every infantryman held a spear in one hand and a shield in the other as they advanced up the mountain. Wu Ying, what do you want? At this moment, an angry roar sounded from the mountain. Then, countless battle soldiers appeared on the mountain ridge. Surrender, or die. A voice rang out from the sorcerer tribe army camp. Wu Ying did not even show himself because he did not need to personally deal with the people on the mountain. To be more precise, the people on the mountain were not qualified for him to deal with them personally. What? Xiao Huai's nose was crooked with anger. At this moment, Wu Ying's army had already reached the middle of the mountain. How dare you, kill them, Xiao Huai ordered. Kill. The red-browed Eagle King and the rest of the army had already prepared their defenses. With Xiao Huai's command, countless rocks rolled down from the mountain ridge. 5 sorcerer tribe warriors rushed out from the army. They waved their fists and blew up the stones that rolled down the mountain. These 5 sorcerer tribe warriors were extremely powerful. They were all God King level beings. All the stones that rolled down the mountain were blocked by these 5 God King level warriors. At the sight of this, the countless soldiers on the mountain panicked. Who would be able to stop a God King level battle general? The 5 God King level warriors pounced towards the mountain at an extremely fast speed. Behind them were countless sorcerer tribe warriors. How dare you? Xiao Huai, red-browed Eagle King and the rest were shocked and angry at the sight. If Jiyu Fei was here, Wu Ying would not dare to attack Xiao Huai and the rest even if he was 10 times more courageous. You're dead. The 5 God King level warriors were about to reach the top of the mountain. Meanwhile, Wu Ying's sorcerer tribe army was less than 300 feet away from the top of the mountain. The soldiers under Xiao Huai were pushing rocks and logs down the mountain like crazy. They even pushed balls of fire down the mountain. But without exception, these attacks were all blocked by the 5 great divine kings. Ha ha! You guys are the ones who are dead. Xiao Huai, who was originally panicking, suddenly laughed out loud. What? When the 5 godly monarch-level battle generals, who were about to reach the top of the ridge, heard this, they immediately had a bad feeling. At this moment, little Huai had already formed a hand seal. In the next moment, a powerful ripple of energy erupted, and numerous killing arrays appeared out of thin air, directly enveloping the countless shaman warriors that were charging towards them. What? When the 5 great divine king-level battle generals saw this scene, they all turned pale with fright. Countless runes appeared in the air and turned into blades of light. They covered the sky and the earth as they slashed towards the shaman warriors who were enveloped in the killing formation. Soon, there was a flash of blood. Countless wizard tribe soldiers were struck by the light blades and fell to the ground, screaming in pain. Buzz! The air rumbled, and more than 10 killing formations appeared on the mountain ridges, enveloping almost all the warriors of the wizard tribe. Roar! The 5 great God King level battle generals almost went crazy when they saw the figures of the Witch Clan's battle soldiers falling one after another. How is this possible? How did little Huai and the others manage to set up so many killing formations on the mountain? Who could set up more than a dozen killing arrays without anyone noticing? At this moment, countless wizard tribe soldiers were killed by the blades of light in the killing formations. In just a few seconds, the sorcerer tribe army had already suffered heavy losses. Even the 5 great divine king-level battle generals were trapped in the killing formations and could not rush out for a while. Ha ha ha! This must be great. Little Huai laughed out loud. Red-browed Eagle King and the others were surprised and delighted. In order to lure Wu Ying's army into the trap, they had put up a tough act. This unexpected move allowed little Huai and the others, who were at a disadvantage, to counterattack and kill Wu Ying's army. And these killing formations were actually formed from the array board that Jiyu Fei had left behind. The array board was really useful. As long as the array board was activated, The runes in the array board would rush out and a killing formation could be set up in an instant. This way, even little YA and red-browed Eagle King, who did not understand formations, could use the array board to set up killing formations that could take lives. Hence, Wu Ying fell for the trap. Roar. A roar came from the army camp at the foot of the mountain. A figure rushed out from the army camp and charged up the mountain at an extremely fast speed. Wu Ying had no choice but to take action. Boom. Wu Ying punched one of the killing formations. A violent fist force erupted from his fist and violently smashed against the killing formation. Rumble. The entire killing formation shook violently, but it was not broken by Wu Ying's punch. Instead, many of the wizard tribe soldiers trapped in the killing formation were killed. In an instant, the mountain ridge was filled with murderous intent. Every killing formation was terrifying to the extreme, and they were all quickly reaping lives. Damn it! Wu Ying was almost driven mad. He attacked with all his might and threw out more than 10 punches in a row. Only then did he manage to destroy one of the killing formations. Wild energy exploded, and almost none of the sorcerer tribe soldiers in the killing formation were spared. Only a few survived. Seeing this, Wu Ying could not help but be shocked. He did not dare to break the formation anymore because even if he did, most of the wizard tribe soldiers in the killing formation would be dead. What a powerful killing formation. Just then, a voice came from the sky. Wu Ying looked up and saw a figure walking over from the sky. Although it looked like he was taking a stroll, his speed was extremely fast. The person took a few steps and was already near. You are Ling Tian Palace, Ancestor Tian Hong? Wu Ying saw the appearance of the person and was instantly surprised and happy. Fellow Wu Ying, how have you been? The person smiled at Wu Ying. Brother Tian Hong, you came at the right time. Please help me break the formation. Wu Ying saw that his soldiers were falling in the killing formation and could not help but panic. All right. As Ancestor Tian Hong spoke, he waved his sleeves and the next moment, array diagrams flew out from his sleeves. They grew rapidly and covered the entire sky. Terrifying destructive divine light rushed out from the array diagrams and penetrated the killing formation below. Every ray of divine light landed on the eye of the killing formation. The power of the killing formation that little YA and the rest did not set up was greatly reduced. The 5 godly king-level generals took the opportunity to rush out of the killing formation. This guy's array doctrine cultivation is not bad. Chapter 5002. Ling Tian Palace's ancestor of array Dao, Ancestor Tian Hong, was here. He was a god that was hard to invite. This caused Wu Ying, who was trapped in a predicament, to be overjoyed. One should know that Ancestor Tian Hong was not as simple as an array grandmaster. He was a half-step emperor. Ancestor Tian Hong's combat power was much higher than Wu Ying's. If Ancestor Tian Hong was not so obsessed with array Dao, he would have become an emperor a long time ago. At this moment, the entire mountain was enveloped by Ancestor Tian Hong's array diagram. All the spiritual energy in the air gathered towards the array diagram. The array diagram gathered the power of heaven and earth and turned into a destructive divine light that descended from the sky. It crashed into the killing arrays below. Ancestor Tian Hong's array Dao cultivation was not bad. At least, that was what Ji Yufei thought. High up in the clouds, Ji Yufei had no intention of making a move. Your cheap master is quite capable. Ji Yufei crossed his arms and said, Master, are you angry? Long Xiaoju asked carefully. Why would I be angry? Have you ever seen a dragon angry at an ant? Ji Yufei smiled and said, Master, do you think the array Dao ancestor of Ling Tian Palace is an ant on the ground? Long Xiaoju was so shocked by Ji Yufei's words that he almost fell from the sky. Isn't that so? Ji Yufei shrugged and said disapprovingly. Long Xiaoju was speechless. If the array Dao ancestor of Ling Tian Palace was an ant, wouldn't everyone in the Void Realm be an ant? Could it be that the master that he had just acknowledged was so powerful that he did not care about everyone in the world? Long Xiaoju suddenly recalled the time when Ji Yufei killed Man Huang and obtained the incomparably powerful battle armor from him. Could it be because of this? It seemed that master was very confident. Since you have acknowledged me as your master, shouldn't you break off your relationship with your array Dao ancestor? Ji Yufei looked at Long Xiaoju with a faint smile. Long Xiaoju was in a difficult position. Of course, she did not have a deep relationship with the array formation ancestor of the Lingtian Palace. This was because she knew very well that the Lingtian Palace did not accept Long Xiaoju as a disciple with a simple motive. If Long Xiaoju hadn't obtained a treasure like the geocentric yellow spring water, would the array formation ancestor of Lingtian Palace have taken a liking to an outsider like her? Long Xiaoju was a member of the West Sea Dragon clan, not a human. Moreover, although Long Xiaoju had learned quite a number of array formations in the Towering Heaven Palace, she had never received the true inheritance of the array Dao secret techniques. This made Long Xiaoju very unhappy, because the people of Lingtian Palace obtained what they wanted, but Long Xiaoju didn't get what she wanted. Long Xiaoju felt that the people from Lingtian Palace were being very unfair to him. Alright, I don't care what you want to do. However, my knowledge of arrays cannot be leaked. Ji Yufei said very seriously to Long Xiaoju. Yes, master, Long Xiaoju hurriedly said. At this moment, a deafening noise came from the crouching bull ridge. Long Xiaoju quickly looked and saw on the ridge in front of her, balls of divine light exploded and countless array inscriptions dissipated in the divine light. The killing arrays that trapped the sorcerer tribe army collapsed, and countless sorcerer tribe soldiers that were trapped in the killing arrays rushed out. When Ji Yufei saw this scene, he was still calm as usual. Good lord, on the crouching bull ridge, Xiao Ya saw this scene and couldn't help but be moved. The guy in the sky was so powerful that he could break her master's array formation. In Xiao Ya's opinion, Master Ji Yufei's array formation was absolutely unparalleled. This was because no one could break Ji Yufei's killing array until today. Moreover, this was just an array board that Ji Yufei casually refined. Haha, brother Tianhong, I'm really impressed by your array Dao cultivation. When Wu Ying saw this scene, he couldn't help but be surprised and laughed out loud. What? That old man in the sky is Tianhong? When Xiao Ya heard Wu Ying's words, she couldn't help but be shocked. As her cultivation continued to increase, Xiao Ya's memories from her previous life were almost fully awakened. Ancestor Tianhong was the array Dao ancestor of the Lingtian Palace. The Lingtian Palace was a colossus that reigned above the five forces. The array Dao ancestor Tianhong was known as the number one in the Void Realm. His array Dao cultivation was unparalleled. Although Xiao Ya was very confident in her master Ji Yufei, this guy was ancestor Tianhong. How could she be his opponent? Unless her master Ji Yufei personally took action, she wouldn't be qualified to compete with this guy. Your Highness, what should we do? Red-browed Eagle King, one-armed sword King Qiu Qianjian and the other godly kings looked at Xiao Ya in fear. If the array Dao ancestor of the Lingtian Palace took action, wouldn't they be dead for sure? Ancestor Tianhong was the number one in the Void Realm. No wonder he could break their master's killing array. Master wasn't here, so how could they fight this guy? The godly kings on the mountain were in despair. What's there to be afraid of? So what if he's an array Dao ancestor? My master is the strongest. Xiao Ya said loudly. Little brat, you sure talk big. In that case, ask your master to come out and fight with me. Let's see who's stronger. An old voice came down from the sky. Ancestor Tianhong was standing on the array diagram with his hands behind his back. He was like a god looking down at an ant on the ground. If you're capable, come and break my killing array. As Xiao Ya spoke, she flipped her right hand and a formation board immediately appeared in her hand. In the next moment, the formation board flew up from her hand and floated high up in the sky. Buzz! With a deafening sound, countless runes rushed out of the formation plate and instantly covered the entire mountain. A shocking killing intent appeared between the heavens and earth. When Ancestor Tianhong, who was standing on the array diagram, saw this scene, his eyes almost popped out. The other party had set up a killing array in an instant. Moreover, it wasn't that the little brat was powerful. The little brat had only taken out an array board. To an array Dao ancestor like Tianhong, array boards weren't rare items. However, it was the first time he had seen an array board that could set up a killing array in an instant. Even he couldn't refine such an array board. He had to rely on the array diagram to set up his own array. At this moment, Xiao Ya activated the array board. The entire killing array enveloped the entire mountain, including Xiao Ya and all the troops under her. Countless spiritual energy of heaven and earth gathered from all directions, causing the power of the killing array to multiply. Your Highness, so you still have a trump card. Red-browed Eagle King, Qiu Chenjian, and the rest were surprised and delighted. Chapter 5003. On the Crouching Bull Ridge 100 miles away from the southern barbarian royal capital, Xiao Ya, who was in a difficult situation, still had a trump card. She took out an array board and in the blink of an eye, a killing array appeared on the ridge and enveloped the entire ridge. On the Crouching Bull Ridge, a murderous aura soared and the weather changed. Ling Tian Palace's array formation ancestor, Tian Hong, who thought that victory was in his grasp, was dumbfounded. Xiao Ya's speed in setting up the array was faster than even him. Compage, these guys are really reckless. How dare they compete with Master in array formations? Bai Feng, the sixth disciple of ancestor Tian Hong, who was previously acting like a scoundrel, was disdainful when he saw this scene from a mountain far away. He had absolute confidence in his master, ancestor Tian Hong. Ling Tian Palace's array formation ancestor, Tian Hong, was publicly recognized as the #1 array formation expert in the entire Void Realm. No one in the entire Void Realm could surpass him in terms of array formation cultivation. Ling Tian Palace had spent a lot of effort to invite ancestor Tian Hong. Senior brother, do you think Master will win? At this moment, a figure appeared on the mountain where Bai Feng was. Little junior sister, you are here? Bai Feng was overjoyed when he saw the person who suddenly appeared. It was Long Xiaoju. Bai Feng did not know that Long Xiaoju had become the disciple of Ji Yufei. Master is here personally. How can I not come? Long Xiaoju smiled. Little junior sister, you know Master's ability. How can that little guy, Ji Yufei, be a match for Master? Bai Feng said proudly. Then we shall watch Master show off his invincible might here. Long Xiaoju looked at Bai Feng, the fool, and sneered in her heart. How dare he go against Ling Tian Palace? Isn't he courting death? Bai Feng looked at the Crouching Bull Ridge and sneered. Senior brother is right. Long Xiaoju replied casually. At this moment, ancestor Tian Hong had already made his move. The array diagram in the sky pressed down from the sky, and a terrifying array formation power descended from the sky and obliterated the killing array below. Rumble, the formation diagram suppressed the killing formation. The two forces clashed together, causing the entire sky to tremble. Countless formation runes clashed, intertwined, destroyed and reformed. Ji Yufei's most elite army of 200,000 was stationed on the Crouching Bull Ridge. Of course, a portion of Ji Yufei's 200,000-strong army had been lost in the battle against the sorcerer tribe. Now, Ji Yufei's army was less than 200,000 strong. Ha, you want to break the array? Dream on. Xiao Ya laughed heartily. Patriarch Tian Hong's array diagram was emitting waves of energy that were getting stronger and stronger, causing the killing array at the top of the mountain to shake continuously. However, Little Ya's killing array blocked Patriarch Tian Hong's array diagram that descended from the sky. Humph! If you dare to look down on me, I guarantee that you will die miserably. As Patriarch Tian Hong stepped on the array diagram, the power of the array diagram was triggered by him. An unimaginably powerful pressure erupted from the array diagram. Everyone in the vicinity felt the immense pressure. Even Xiao Ya, red-browed Eagle King, and the rest felt their souls trembling. Under such pressure, they were as weak as ants. Old man, you can talk after you break the array. Xiao Ya pointed her middle finger at Patriarch Tian Hong, who was in the sky. At this moment, the countless people who were protected by the killing array on the top of the mountain could not remain calm. Even red-browed Eagle King, Qiu Chenjian, and the rest were shocked by the scene in front of them. Was this the power of an expert in the array doctrine? It was too terrifying and heaven-defying. High up in the sky, Ji Yufei was still calm when he saw the scene. If Patriarch Tian Hong only had this little ability, he would not be able to break his array. However, It was obvious that the array doctrine patriarch of the Ling Tian Palace had not given his all. It was not without reason that he was known as the #1 expert in the void realm. Humph. At this moment, Patriarch Tian Hong sneered. The next moment, the second array diagram pressed down from the sky, and the power of Patriarch Tian Hong's array multiplied. Rumble. The top of the mountain that was enveloped by Ji Fei's killing array was shaking. Cracks appeared on the entire mountain as though it could collapse at any time. Everyone at the top of the ridge was half dead. Everyone was terrified to the extreme. Even Xiao Ya was nervous at this time. However, even so, Ji Fei's killing array still enveloped the top of the mountain. No matter how powerful Patriarch Tian Hong's array diagram was, it could not erase the array patterns of the killing array. Wind, rise. Patriarch Tian Hong activated the magic power of the array diagram. The next moment, invisible gales appeared around the top of the mountain and continuously weakened the power of the killing array. However, it was of no use. Fire movement. Patriarch Tian Hong shouted. The next moment, towering divine fire surged from the array diagram and enveloped the top of the mountain. Seeing this, Xiao Ya and the rest were shocked. Was Patriarch Tian Hong going to roast them? Hum. The divine fire swept over and Ji Fei's killing array let out a loud hum. The next moment, a ball of divine light appeared in the void and enveloped the top of the mountain. The light shield that Xiao Ya cast out from the killing array blocked the towering divine fire. However, the heat still penetrated through the light shield, and the top of the mountain was like a steamer that was stuffy and stuffy. Even if I can't break this killing array, I can still refine all of you to death. Patriarch Tian Hong sneered. Xiao Ya and the rest were speechless. Patriarch Tian Hong's move was too ruthless. Even they could feel the heat wave assaulting their bodies and were drenched in sweat. The rest were even worse off. Even if Xiao Ya and the rest had high cultivation and could hold on, what about the hundreds of thousands of troops under them? The hundreds of thousands of people would not be able to hold on and would be cooked alive. In that case, the troops that Ji Fei had painstakingly built would be wiped out. Haha, Ji Fei's men are doomed. Wu Ying, who was watching the battle from afar, laughed. The development of the situation had exceeded his expectations. Even he did not expect the array formation ancestor of Ling Tian Palace to take action personally. In that case, even if Ji Fei came back and wanted to settle scores with someone, he would only look for Ling Tian Palace. This was because Wu Ying had nothing to do with it now. Wu Ying could also extricate himself from this incident. At the thought of this, Wu Ying could not help but laugh. Although Ji Fei was powerful, no matter how powerful he was, could he compete with Ling Tian Palace? That was Ling Tian Palace. Ling Tian Palace had dominated the Void Realm for countless years, and no force had ever been able to shake them. If Ji Fei were to go against Ling Tian Palace, there would only be one outcome, and that was his own destruction. Chapter 5004. Southern Man, one of the 5 main regions of the Void Realm, was in an uproar. Even Ling Tian Palace made a move. All of this was beyond everyone's medical knowledge. It should be known that Ling Tian Palace was an existence that stood above the 5 factions. This inheritance had an extremely high status in the Void Realm. Even the 5 royal lords were suppressed by Ling Tian Palace to the point where they could not even lift their heads. Ling Tian Palace even required the 5 overlords to pay tribute on time and use the resources of the 5 regions to nurture their disciples. Over the years, the Ling Tian Palace had produced many experts. However, there was no reason for it to be destroyed. The Ling Tian Palace had used the resources of the 5 regions of the Mirage Realm to nurture its disciples. If it could not nurture any experts, then the Ling Tian Palace would have fallen long ago. Ji Fei was strong. Since his debut, he had been domineering. No one was a match for him. Even Barbarian Emperor was killed by him. However, even so, no one thought that Ji Fei could fight against Ling Tian Palace. Ling Tian Palace was too strong. The sorcerer tribe wanted to use Wu Ying to test Ji Fei. Who would have thought that the array formation ancestor of Ling Tian Palace would suddenly appear? This way, Wu Ying could retreat. This was definitely a good thing for the sorcerer tribe. The sorcerer tribe was happy to see Ling Tian Palace and Ji Yufei fight. At this moment, on the Crouching Bull Ridge, the entire sky was burning red. Everyone was shocked by this scene. How could Ji Yufei's subordinates, who were trapped on the ridge by the monstrous fire, survive? Haha, they are dead. Wu Ying's subordinates were surprised and happy to see this scene. At this moment, the 19 feudal vassals of Southern Man, the sorcerer tribe, the remnants of barbarian emperor, the forces outside of Southern Man, and all the experts in the Void Realm were watching this battle. Everyone was curious. If Ji Yufei returned, would he admit defeat or fight against Ling Tian Palace? That was Ling Tian Palace. Unbeknownst to them, Ji Yufei had already returned long ago, and he had witnessed the entire battle. Moreover, no one would have guessed that Ji Yufei did not care about Ling Tian Palace at all. The so-called Array Dao ancestor was merely an ant in his eyes. At this moment, Xiao Ya and the rest were in danger on the top of the Crouching Bull Ridge. Although Tian Hong's blazing fire array could not break through Ji Yufei's killing array, the heat could still penetrate it. The entire ridge was like a huge steamer basket. Although Xiao Ya and the others could still hold on, as time passed, all of them would be like steamed meat, directly steamed. This is the consequence of daring to look down on this sovereign ancestor, Tian Hong sneered. His voice wasn't loud, but it reached everyone's ears. He had no intention of letting little Ya and the rest go. Wu Ying and the rest could not help but change their expressions upon hearing this. Everyone knew that the Array Dao ancestor of Ling Tian Palace was punishing the chicken to warn the monkey. That old fellow is going to be out of luck. On a distant mountain ridge, Long Xiaoju sneered. What? Bai Feng, who was beside Long Xiaoju, was both shocked and furious when he heard this. You dare to call master an old man? Bai Feng looked at Long Xiaoju as though he was looking at a monster. From today onwards, that old fellow is no longer my master. Long Xiaoju clenched her teeth. Ancestor Tian Hong was a sanctimonious person. The reason why he took Long Xiaoju in as a disciple was because he wanted Long Xiaozhou's geocentric netherworld water. When he thought about how the geocentric netherworld water that he risked his life to obtain was forcefully taken away by ancestor Tian Hong, he was so angry that his teeth itched. You are disgraceful. Are you trying to deceive your master and destroy your ancestors? Bai Feng pointed at Long Xiaoju and shouted. You can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. Long Xiaoju was extremely shrewd. She would not admit to deceiving her master and destroying her ancestors. I am going to clean up the sect for master. As Bai Feng spoke, he attacked Long Xiaoju. This was a rare opportunity to obtain the geocentric netherworld water. If he captured Long Xiaoju, everything on her would be his spoils of war. He extended his right hand and grabbed at Long Xiaoju. Although Bai Feng cultivated Array Dao, it did not mean that his combat power was weak. His right hand was like a venomous snake, grabbing at Long Xiaozhou's throat with lightning speed. Capturing Long Xiaoju would definitely be a great achievement. However, Long Xiaozhou's movement technique was even faster than his. She moved her legs and immediately dodged Bai Feng's right hand. Then, she punched at Bai Feng's head. Bai Feng was shocked when he saw that. This junior sister's cultivation seemed to have improved a lot. Two figures moved quickly on the mountain ridge and started fighting. How is this possible? Bai Feng became more and more shocked as he fought. Boom! At that moment, a loud bang came from the direction of the Crouching Bull Ridge. The next moment, the towering fire at the top of the ridge disappeared as though it had never appeared. Then, everyone saw a figure standing in the sky above the ridge with his hands behind his back. He was looking at ancestor Tian Hong coldly. The array diagram under ancestor Tian Hong's feet was dim as though it could dissipate into the void at any time. Who are you? How dare you break my array formation? Ancestor Tian Hong stared at the young man in black in shock and anger. If looks could kill, the young man in black would have died many times over. It's him. His back. Wu Ying, who was watching the battle nearby, was shocked when he saw the young man in black. Who else could it be but Ji Yufei? Ji Yufei's return shocked everyone who knew about Ji Yufei. However, many people were excited. Ji Yufei actually dared to go against the Array Dao ancestor of Ling Tian Palace. The show would definitely be exciting. Master, Master, on the top of the crouching bull ridge, Xiao Ya, red-browed eagle king, and the others were shocked when they saw Ji Yufei. His Ji Yufei. Someone shouted. What? You're Ji Yufei? Ancestor Tian Hong was shocked. This person was able to break his array formation and save the people on the ridge. He must be quite capable. As the saying went, an expert would know once he made a move. Ancestor Tian Hong did not dare to look down on Ji Yufei. How dare you attack my people? You must be tired of living. Ji Yufei looked at Ancestor Tian Hong coldly. What did you say? Ancestor Tian Hong was enraged. Are you deaf? I said, you must be tired of living. Ji Yufei shouted at Ancestor Tian Hong. His voice reverberated in the mountains. Kid, you're courting death. Ancestor Tian Hong roared and attacked. Countless array diagrams appeared in the void like a giant net and enveloped Ji Yufei. Master, be careful. Master, be careful. Xiao Ya, red-browed eagle king, and the others were shocked when they saw Ancestor Tian Hong's attack. Just an ant. Chapter 5005. Ji Yufei finally made his move. At this point, he had no choice but to make a move. He couldn't just watch as Xiao Ya, red-browed eagle king, and the rest were refined to death by Ancestor Tian Hong. When Wu Ying and the rest saw Ji Yufei appear, they were shocked. This guy finally appeared. However, even though Ji Yufei was amazing and even killed Barbarian Emperor, no one thought highly of him. After all, Ji Yufei was going up against Ling Tian Palace. Ling Tian Palace was an existence that was above the 5 emperors. Although Ling Tian Palace wasn't the overlord, it was the true ruler of the Void Realm. How could Ji Yufei have any chance of winning against such an existence? The people from the sorcerer tribe were gloating and couldn't wait for Ji Yufei to be killed by the people from Ling Tian Palace. However, the combat power that Ji Yufei displayed shocked everyone to the extreme. The array formation ancestor of Ling Tian Palace was actually suppressed by him. Ji Yufei's sleeves fluttered and Ancestor Tian Hong's array diagram was casually dispersed by him. Countless array patterns dissipated in the void. What? Patriarch Tian Hong was shocked and furious when he saw that. Every attack from the other party was aimed at the flaws of his array diagram, causing it to shatter immediately. How could he see through the flaws in his array diagram? Ancestor Tian Hong was in disbelief. His array diagram wasn't flawless and had flaws. In fact, all the array formations in the world had flaws. Ancestor Tian Hong knew his limitations. With his array formation skills, it was impossible for him to set up a flawless array formation. In fact, even Ji Yufei couldn't set up a flawless array formation. However, he could hide the flaws of the array formation. In Ji Yufei's eyes, Ancestor Tian Hong's array formation was full of flaws. This was the difference between the two of them in terms of array Dao. Is that all you've got? Ji Yufei stood in the air and countless array patterns dissipated around him. What? Ancestor Tian Hong was so infuriated by Ji Yufei that he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This fella was too arrogant. He actually dared to look down on him. He was the #1 expert in the Dao of arrays in the Void Realm. When had he ever been looked down upon by a little fella? Alright, today, I will show you what an array Dao is. As Ji Yufei spoke, he spread his hands before him and 5 formation discs immediately appeared before him. Each disc was extremely exquisite and shrouded in a ball of spiritual light. Furthermore, every array disc represented a powerful force. 5 elements. Ancestor Tian Hong's eyeballs almost dropped to the ground. This guy could actually set up the 5 elements formation? How is this possible? Ancestor Tian Hong was really shocked. This Ji Yufei could actually control the power of the 5 elements at the same time. This kind of array Dao cultivation was really terrifying. To control the power of the 5 elements at the same time, a moment of carelessness could lead to the collapse of the array Dao and death. Just as Ancestor Tian Hong was in shock, Ji Yufei had already made his move. With a wave of his right hand, the 5 array discs that were floating in front of him immediately soared into the sky and suppressed Ancestor Tian Hong in 5 directions. Ancestor Tian Hong's expression changed when he saw this. Without hesitation, he soared into the sky and tried to escape. "Array, rise!" Ji Fei shouted. The next moment, the 5 array discs that were suppressing the 5 directions suddenly exploded with dazzling divine light. The power of the 5 elements exploded and turned into a layer of 5-colored divine light that enveloped the entire void. Bam! Ancestor Tian Hong, who soared into the sky, collided with the 5 elements light shield. He became dizzy from the impact and fell from the sky. "All right, if you can come out within 3 days, I will consider it my loss." Ji Fei was very confident. Seeing this scene, countless people who were watching the battle were inexplicably shocked. Ancestor Tian Hong would never surrender obediently. However, no matter how hard he tried to attack the 5 elements array, he couldn't get out. He was suddenly trapped in the 5 elements array. This Ji Fei, Wu Ying was shocked and angry. Ji Fei's array Dao cultivation was far above Ancestor Tian Hong. How was this possible? Ancestor Tian Hong was the array Dao ancestor of Ling Tian Palace. The 19 feudal vassal kings were also dumbfounded by Ji Fei. No one would have thought that the array Dao ancestor of Ling Tian Palace would actually be trapped by Ji Fei's array Dao. This was too ironic. After Ji Fei trapped Ancestor Tian Hong, he didn't care about him anymore. Master, master. At this moment, Xiao Ya, red-browed Eagle King, and the rest had already rushed over. If it wasn't for Ji Fei, they would have been refined to death by Ancestor Tian Hong. "All right, bring your army and take over Southman capital. Let's see who dares to stop us." Ji Fei's voice wasn't loud, but it was heard by everyone present. This made Wu Ying extremely shocked. That day, he was the one who stopped Xiao Ya and the rest from entering Southman capital. At that time, Ji Fei wasn't around. But now, it was different. Ji Fei had already announced that whoever dared to stop Xiao Ya and the rest would face serious consequences. The 19 feudal vassal kings of Southman were watching the show. They wanted to see how the sorcerer tribe would react. Would they admit defeat or go against Ji Fei? Ji Fei easily defeated the array Dao ancestor of Ling Tian Palace. He didn't even care about the people from Ling Tian Palace. Would he be afraid of the sorcerer tribe? At this moment, the other shaman kings were also shocked. "Yes, master. Yes, master," Xiao Ya, red-browed Eagle King, and the rest quickly accepted the order. Without further ado, Xiao Ya, red-browed Eagle King, and the rest immediately began to reorganize the army. Then, they led the army down Crouching Bull Ridge and headed straight for Southman capital. Seeing this scene, the shaman kings present couldn't remain calm. Especially Wu Ying. "Fellow Ji, the Southman capital has been taken over by the sorcerer tribe. You don't have to worry about it." Wu Ying stood up and said. When the surrounding spectators saw this, they couldn't help but give Wu Ying a thumbs up. This guy had guts. He actually dared to say such words in front of Ji Fei. "You still dare to speak out?" When Ji Fei saw that it was Wu Ying, he was instantly enraged. It was this guy who chased Xiao Ya and the rest to Crouching Bull Ridge. If he hadn't returned in time, Xiao Ya and the rest would have been refined to death by Ancestor Tian Hong. Fellow Ji, what do you mean by this? Wu Ying was shocked and angry. "Come here." Ji Fei's right hand grabbed at Wu Ying, who was in the distance. Wu Ying immediately felt his body tighten. Then, he flew towards Ji Fei involuntarily. What? Wu Ying was really shocked. He tried his best to activate his mystic art, trying to break free from the engulfing power that enveloped him. However, it was all in vain. Ji Fei grabbed the throat of Wu Ying, who was flying towards him, and lifted him up. In front of Ji Fei, Wu Ying, one of the 8 great shaman kings of the sorcerer tribe, was as weak as a chick. Chapter 5006. On the Crouching Bull Ridge, Ji Fei casually cast a 5 elements array and trapped the arrogant array formation ancestor, Tian Hong. Ji Fei's move stunned everyone present. One should know that Ancestor Tian Hong was the array formation ancestor of the Ling Tian Palace. Ancestor Tian Hong was known as the #1 person in the Void Realm. This was not an undeserved reputation. Ancestor Tian Hong really had the ability to do so. However, today, Ji Yufei completely defeated Ancestor Tian Hong in terms of array formation. How could everyone who witnessed this scene not be shocked? Haha, Master is awesome. At this moment, Long Xiaoju, who was chasing after Bai Feng, laughed. Bai Feng was very cunning. When he saw that the situation wasn't good, he immediately ignored his master, Ancestor Tian Hong, and fled by himself. However, he was targeted by Long Xiaoju. Bai Feng was also very despicable. He also had his eyes on her geocentric netherworld water. He had dug many traps for her to jump into. How could she let him go? You deceived your master and destroyed your ancestors. Bai Feng was shocked and angry. He ran forward without looking back. If Ji Yufei attacked him, he would be finished. Haha, you don't treat me as a disciple or junior sister. You only covet my geocentric netherworld water. Long Xiaoju sneered. Both of them were very fast. Soon, they were more than 100 miles away. At this moment, Ji Yufei grabbed Wu Ying from afar. He grabbed Wu Ying's neck and lifted him up. Ji Yufei, what are you doing? Wu Ying was shocked and angry. Even the other shaman kings were inexplicably shocked. They had never imagined that Ji Yufei would suddenly attack Wu Ying. And Wu Ying, a dignified shaman king, was completely powerless against Ji Yufei. That was a shaman king, a powerful existence half a step into the martial emperor realm. Such a powerful existence was as weak as an ant in front of Ji Yufei. Haha, don't you know what I'm doing? Ji Yufei laughed. What did you say? My sorcerer tribe has formed an alliance with you. Do you want to tear up the alliance and become the laughingstock of the world by attacking your ally? Wu Yin said loudly. You also know that I'm an ally of the wizard tribe. Ji Yufei tightened his grip on Wu Ying's neck. Wu Ying's breathing quickened and he almost couldn't breathe. Ji Yufei, what do you mean by that? Wu Ying felt that something was wrong. What do you think? Ji Yufei sneered. Wu Ying sensed a murderous aura from Ji Yufei, which scared him so much that he almost peed his pants. This Ji Yufei was a killing god. He even dared to kill the barbarian emperor. Moreover, even the Ling Tian Palace's old ancestor Tian Hong was trapped by him. This fella was simply a killer who feared nothing. Ji Yufei, have mercy. Wu Fang was here. If he did not show up, Wu Ying would be done for. Hehe, you want me to have mercy? This fella forced my people into a dead end. If I didn't come back in time, wouldn't my people have been wiped out? Ji Yufei said angrily. Wu Fang heard this and didn't know what to say for a moment. Wu Ying was in the wrong in this matter, but he didn't deserve to die. Catcher. Just as Wu Fang was hesitating and didn't know what to say, Ji Yufei exerted force with his right hand and broke Wu Ying's neck. Wu Ying, the shaman king of a generation, didn't expect that Ji Yufei would actually dare to kill him. He was a shaman king who was second only to one. He didn't even care about the great shaman king, let alone the other shaman kings. Wu Fang was dumbfounded. This Ji Yufei actually killed Wu Ying. What should he do? The others who saw this scene were also dumbfounded. This Ji Yufei really dared to do it. That was a shaman king of the sorcerer tribe. He even dared to kill a shaman king. I heard that the shaman emperor has come out of seclusion. Haha, there will be another exciting show soon. Some people wished for the world to be in chaos. The 19 southern barbarian feudal lords were also shocked by Ji Yufei's means. Ji Yufei didn't care who these guys were. As long as they dared to lay their hands on his people, he would kill them even if they were the emperor. In fact, Ji Yufei was killing the chicken to warn the monkey. Killing Wu Ying could intimidate everyone and make them not dare to act rashly. Ji Yufei threw Wu Ying's body aside and then rushed into the sky towards the southern barbarian royal capital. A powerful aura exploded and instantly enveloped the entire southern barbarian royal capital. At this time, Xiao Ya and the red-browed eagle king were still on their way with the army. People of the sorcerer tribe, get out of the southern barbarian royal capital. Ji Yufei roared. His voice instantly spread throughout the entire southern barbarian royal capital, causing the ears of everyone in the city to buzz. What? When the people of the sorcerer tribe in the southern barbarian royal capital heard this, they were shocked and angry. There was actually someone who dared to tell them to get out of the southern barbarian royal capital. Did this guy eat a bear's heart and leopard's gall? Who are you? How dare you come here and behave atrociously? A figure rushed out of the southern barbarian royal palace. Bam! Jiu Fei didn't even bother to speak. He directly punched this guy into a cloud of blood mist. In an instant, his body and soul were destroyed and he died. The people in the city who saw this scene were stunned. Isn't that the expert of the sorcerer tribe, Wu Wu? He was actually killed by a punch just like that. Someone recognized the origin of the person who rushed out of the royal palace and couldn't help but exclaim. However, this scene happened too quickly. Wu Wu Wu. Isn't that the expert who is the strongest under the 8 kings? Who dares to kill him? Many people were shocked to the extreme. This Wu 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 was the strongest under the 8 kings. In the sorcerer tribe, he had a high position and power. However, in front of Jiu Fei, this guy was just a fart. I won't say it for the 3rd time. All the sorcerer tribesmen in the southern barbarian royal capital, get out of the royal capital. Jiu Fei's voice once again spread throughout the royal capital. Countless people of the sorcerer tribe in the city didn't know what was going on and were all stunned. Jiu Fei, don't go too far. At this time, an old voice came from the southern barbarian royal palace. I'm going too far. Jiu Fei smiled. Well, how about we each take a step back? The voice came from the royal palace again. How do we retreat? How do we retreat? Jiu Fei said expressionlessly. Wu Ying brought this upon himself and deserved to die. However, he is after all one of the 8 kings of the sorcerer tribe. Since you have already killed him, how about we write off the grievances between us? The old voice said. It's impossible to write it off, unless you sorcerer tribe get out of the southern barbarian royal capital now. Jiu Fei said sternly. The old man in the royal palace was stunned when he heard this. He wanted them to give up the southern barbarian royal capital. How was this possible? Chapter 5007. People of the sorcerer tribe, get out of the southern man's royal capital. Jiu Fei's voice instantly spread throughout the entire southern man's capital. Everyone was inexplicably shocked. His voice was incomparably loud, like a clap of thunder exploding in the ears of countless people, causing their ears to buzz. The ordinary people were still fine, but the experts in the city were not so good. The voice that Jiu Fei made contained the killing technique of sound, causing their blood to boil. This Jiu Fei, in the city, in the palace of the sorcerer tribe, the heaven witch priest was sitting on the throne. She naturally heard Jiu Fei's voice and was equally shocked. However, what shocked her even more was the news that she had just received. Wu Ying was actually dead. Furthermore, his neck had been broken by Jiu Fei with a single grip. This matter really shocked the heaven witch priest, Wu Lingxue. One should know that the person Jiu Fei killed was not an ordinary person, but one of the 8 great witch kings of the sorcerer tribe. The 8 great witch kings of the sorcerer tribe had a very high prestige in the sorcerer tribe. Their status was second only to the sorcerer king, and even the saintess of the sorcerer tribe had to lower her head to them. Especially Wu Ying, he was the warmonger among the 8 great witch kings of the sorcerer tribe. He had always advocated being tough with the barbarian king, and never compromised with the barbarian king. The barbarian king did not touch Wu Ying for the sake of the overall situation, but Jiu Fei was different. He had no scruples, and this was what Wu Ying could not see through. The barbarian king could tolerate him, but Jiu Fei did not. If you dare to provoke me, I will kill you with one slap. This was Jiu Fei. Many people in the sorcerer tribe were still unclear of the situation. They thought that by allying with Jiu Fei, they could test Jiu Fei at will. However, they did not know that if they crossed Jiu Fei's bottom line, there would be such serious consequences. Now, only 7 of the 8 great witch kings of the sorcerer tribe were left. Wu Wu Yi, the number 1 person below the witch king, was also smashed into pieces by Jiu Fei. The sorcerer tribe did not suffer such a huge loss when they attacked the southern man's royal capital previously. This madman, In the main hall of the imperial palace of the southern Man royal capital, the other Magus kings were both shocked and furious. What? Still not getting the hell out of the imperial capital? Could it be that you want me to personally invite you out? Ji Yufei's tone turned cold and a shocking killing intent appeared in the world. The temperature of the entire world seemed to have dropped in an instant. Especially the experts in the city, they were even more frightened. The distance between Crouching Bull Ridge and Nanman royal capital was not far. The news that Wu Ying had died at the hands of Ji Yufei had already spread throughout Nanman royal capital. Instantly, the entire city was shaken and countless sorcerer tribesmen were terrified. But without the orders from above, no one dared to act rashly, and no one dared to escape the southern Man imperial capital. Sigh. Faced with Ji Yufei's forcefulness, even the great mage king could not help but sigh. Retreat. In the main hall of the imperial palace, the great witch king sighed with a desolate expression. The great witch king was very clear that once a person like Ji Yufei had the intention to kill, and they did not do as Ji Yufei said, then Ji Yufei would definitely kill them. This was unquestionable, because he had even killed Wu Ying. How could he show mercy to them? Wu Ying's death was his own doing. He insisted on testing Ji Yufei. But now, if they did not retreat from the southern Man royal capital, then all of them would have to die. The sorcerer tribesmen originally had a good hand of cards in their hands, but they ended up in such a state. There was no one else like this. If they did not seek death, they would die. Retreat. Boss, what did you say? Yes, such a big imperial capital. Just because of a sentence from Ji Yufei, we have to give it up. The other Magus kings present were filled with hatred. Yes, the barbarian emperor was killed by Ji Yufei, but with Ji Yufei's power, it was unrealistic for him to take over the imperial capital. Only the sorcerer tribesmen had the power to take over the entire imperial capital and not let the imperial capital fall into chaos. Once the sorcerer tribesmen withdrew, the imperial capital was likely to be in chaos. And now, Ji Yufei's army was rushing towards the southern Man royal capital. Even if the 19 feudal vassals of southern Man were nearby, none of the feudal vassals dared to attack Xiao Ya and the others. Wu Ying was an example. Ji Yufei killed him without batting an eye. Who dared to provoke Ji Yufei? Tired of living? Even the sorcerer emperor did not appear. And at this time, in a tribe 300 miles away from the southern Man royal capital, Long Xiaoju successfully intercepted Bai Feng. Junior sister, we are brothers and sisters after all. Can't you let me go? Bai Feng had to beg for mercy. With the appearance of Long Xiaoju and Bai Feng, the tribe was suddenly in chaos. Countless soldiers in animal skins rushed out from all over the tribe and surrounded Long Xiaoju and Bai Feng. The current situation of southern Man was not very good. Previously, after the war with the Eastern Wilderness Demon Clan and the West Sea Dragon Clan, most of the soldiers in this tribe had been transferred away. The remaining soldiers were all old, weak and disabled. They did not have much combat power at all. If you want to live, stay far away from me. Long Xiaoju roared at the tribal soldiers who surrounded them. Her roar, however, was like a sudden clap of thunder, which directly stunned those tribal warriors who had surrounded her. Retreat. An old man walked out of the tribe and ordered. The surrounding soldiers immediately retreated far away. No one present was qualified to intervene in this kind of battle between experts. Their tribe was not a big tribe, so they could only retreat. The battle between these two had nothing to do with them. Staying out of it was the best choice. You want me to let you go? Give me a reason. Long Xiaoju said to Bai Feng. I can give you everything I have, how about it? Bai Feng hurriedly said. TSK, have you forgotten who I am? In my eyes, your entire fortune is not even worth mentioning. Long Xiaoju said disdainfully. She was the youngest daughter of the West Sea Old Dragon Emperor. What did she not have? Little junior sister, you're underestimating your senior brother. Bai Feng sneered. Who is your junior sister? Long Xiaoju said angrily. Little junior sister, can this thing exchange for my life? Bai Feng did not care whether Long Xiaoju was angry or not. He directly flipped his right hand, and a fist-sized red thing appeared in his hand. This is Scarlet fire pure gold? Long Xiaoju immediately exclaimed when she saw the thing in Bai Feng's hand. How about it? A divine weapon refined with this scarlet fire pure gold is the top divine weapon in the Void Realm. This thing can exchange for my life. Bai Feng smiled proudly. I want this thing, then hand over your interspatial ring and scram. Long Xiaoju said coldly. What, you want my interspatial ring? Bai Feng immediately looked unhappy. Junior sister, it's not good to be too greedy. Bai Feng gritted his teeth and said. Cut the crap. Leave these two things and scram. Otherwise, I will change my mind. Long Xiaoju said as she flipped her right hand, and an array board with 5 elements essence chi appeared in her hand. A powerful wave of energy fluctuated from the array board. This. Chapter 5008. Although Long Xiaoju had only followed Ji Yufei for a short period of time, her talent in array formation was really good. Otherwise, Ji Yufei would not have accepted her as a disciple. This 5 elements array board was an array board that Long Xiaoju refined herself under Ji Yufei's guidance. The array formation of the array board was the 5 elements killing array. As soon as Long Xiaoju took out this array board, Bai Feng immediately felt the murderous aura from it. If this array board was activated by Long Xiaoju, he, Bai Feng, would be out of luck. Therefore, as the 6th disciple of the array formation ancestor of the Ling Tian Palace, he had no choice but to admit defeat. You win. Bai Feng threw away the scarlet fire pure gold and his interspatial ring before running away dejectedly. The people in this tribe were worried that the two of them would destroy the houses in the tribe if they fought. Who would have thought that the two of them did not fight? For this tribe, the fact that Long Xiaoju and Bai Feng did not fight was definitely something worth rejoicing over. Long Xiaoju did not care about the small Bai Feng. She kept the pure red fire gold and Bai Feng's storage ring, turned around, and rushed to the Southern Man royal capital. Currently, countless people of the Sorcerer clan were packing up their valuables and preparing to leave the Southern Man royal capital. It had to be said that the Sorcerer clan came in high spirits but returned in disappointment. Not only did they not get anything, but a Sorcerer King was also killed. The Sorcerer King, who was supposed to appear, did not show up in the end. This caused the major forces to speculate why the Sorcerer King did not appear, why the Sorcerer King did not stand up for the Sorcerer clan, and let the Sorcerer clan be bullied by Ji Yufei. The entire Sorcerer tribe had lost all face because they had been forced by Ji Yufei's threat and had no choice but to withdraw from the Southern Man royal capital, which was already in their hands. Soon, Ji Yufei's army arrived at the Southern Man royal capital. It was impossible for an army of less than 200,000 to completely control the entire Southern Man royal capital. However, soon, someone came to seek refuge with Ji Yufei. No one would have thought that the first person to seek refuge with Ji Yufei would actually be the fierce Tiger King who had been beaten half to death by Ji Yufei. And this fierce Tiger King was previously a loyal follower of the barbarian sovereign. But now, he had actually sided with Ji Yufei. This caused everyone's jaws to almost drop to the ground. Fierce Tiger King brought over 100,000 troops into the Southern Man imperial capital. Because of the submission of the fierce Tiger King, this allowed Ji Yufei to quickly control the situation in the Southern Man imperial capital. Then there was the North Vanquishing King, one of the 19 vassal kings. He also brought his army to pledge allegiance to Ji Yufei. As a result, Ji Yufei's power increased greatly. Those who wanted to see Ji Yufei make a fool of himself were all dumbfounded. With the support of the 2 vassal kings, Ji Yufei finally gained a foothold in the southern barbarian royal capital. However, he had fallen out with the witch race. As a result, not many people were optimistic about Ji Yufei. Moreover, in the eastern region of Southern Man, there were still remnants of Southern Man. Bai Ji was the god of war under the barbarian sovereign. In the battle with the eastern barbarian demon race, Bai Ji's performance was remarkable. Now, some people said that the second son of the barbarian sovereign, Man Yu, had fled to the eastern region of Southern Man and sought refuge with the god of war, Bai Ji. Although the barbarian sovereign was killed by Ji Yufei, there were still many remnants of the barbarian sovereign. These remnants were gathering towards the eastern region of Southern Man and formed a considerable force. Some people said that the most mysterious second god of war under the barbarian sovereign had also appeared. Man Yu still had a chance to turn the tables. This was something that many people were curious about. One of the 19 vassal kings of southern Man, East Vanquishing King, also came out to support Man Yu. This was not a good thing for Ji Fei and the witch race. The eastern region of southern Man was still very large. Within the area controlled by East Vanquishing King, there were countless human tribes. It could be said that East Vanquishing King had many experts under him. When God of War, by Ge, was fighting against the eastern barbarian demon race, East Vanquishing King had also put in a lot of effort. Now that East Vanquishing King had come out to support Man Yu, the feudal lords who were still watching from the sidelines found it difficult to make a decision. The witch race, Ji Fei, and the remnants of the barbarian sovereign. The entire southern Man was divided into 3 camps. The entire southern Man was in a tripartite situation. However, the West Sea Dragon race wouldn't make a move again, but it was hard to say for the Eastern Barbarian Demon race. Man Yu was in the middle of the Eastern Barbarian Demon race and Ji Fei's forces. If the Eastern Barbarian Demon race and Ji Fei attacked at the same time, Man Yu would be in danger. All the forces were watching from the sidelines. This was too difficult. They originally thought that after the fall of the barbarian sovereign, southern Man would be the world of the witch race. Who would have thought that the witch race would fall out with Ji Fei? Ji Fei was a peerless savage who had even killed the barbarian sovereign. In this way, how could the forces of southern Man choose? Ji Fei was so awesome that he didn't even give face to the witch race. He even killed Wu Ying, one of the 8 great witch kings. Wasn't going against him courting death. However, if they sided with Ji Fei, they would undoubtedly become enemies with the witch race. The witch race still had a witch sovereign. It was too difficult, it was really too difficult. Most of the feudal lords of southern Man were still watching from the sidelines. One must know that at this time, they must not stand on the wrong side. The consequences of standing on the wrong side were very serious. They might lose their lives at any time. At this time, Ji Fei had completely taken control of the southern Man royal capital. He didn't stop, but began to expand outwards with the southern Man royal capital as the center. Kill whoever refuses to obey. Ji Fei was extremely domineering. No matter who it was his army. If they refused to obey, he would kill. Those who surrendered would live, and those who resisted would die. It was that simple. Fierce Tiger King and North Garrison King took the lead. In just over 10 days, with the southern Man royal capital as the center, the area within a radius of thousands of miles became Ji Fei's world. When the feudal lords encountered Ji Fei's army, none of them dared to fight. When Ji Fei's army arrived, they all withdrew from their cities and handed the cities and territories over to Ji Fei. There were also mysterious figures who attacked the generals under Ji Fei. A few of the generals under Fierce Tiger King were killed by the mysterious figures. This made Fierce Tiger King furious, but there was nothing he could do. And the most pathetic person was the array formation ancestor of the Ling Tian Palace who was trapped in the Crouching Bull Ridge by Ji Fei's 5 elements killing array. That guy had been trapped in the 5 elements killing array for more than 10 days, let alone 3 days. Ancestor Tian Hong was quite strong-willed. He actually didn't beg for mercy from Ji Fei. At this time, in the Ling Tian Palace, in front of a cave abode with its door closed, more than 10 powerful figures gathered. They were all welcoming their palace lord out of seclusion. This was also the reason why no one from the Ling Tian Palace made a move in the past 10 days. Many people were prepared to watch the show. The reason why the feudal lords among the 19 feudal lords of southern Man who were still observing didn't dare to rely on Ji Fei now was because Ji Fei was going against the Ling Tian Palace. That was the Ling Tian Palace. The palace lord of the Ling Tian Palace, Ancestor Ling Tian, was known as the strongest expert in the Void Realm. In many people's opinion, as long as Ancestor Ling Tian arrived, Ji Fei would definitely be dead. Chapter 5009. When Ji Fei made a move, even the witch tribe had to bow their heads. All the witch tribe members withdrew from the southern barbarian royal capital. Ji Fei's subordinates not only took over the entire southern barbarian royal capital, but they also expanded in all directions with the southern barbarian royal capital as the center. Countless forces submitted to them. If they didn't submit, they would die. Jiyu Fei even killed the barbarian sovereign, let alone the others. The feudal vassals who were still watching from the sidelines restrained their subordinates. As long as they encountered Jiyu Fei's army, they would retreat instead of fighting. Although some feudal vassals were unhappy, they had no choice. On the other hand, East King's army fought with Jiyu Fei's fierce Tiger King's army, and both sides won and lost. East King's force was the strongest among the eastern feudal vassals of southern barbarian. Moreover, East King had some relationship with Ling Tian Palace. Because of this relationship, East King dared to go against Jiyu Fei. If he didn't have some background and a strong backer, East King wouldn't dare to provoke Jiyu Fei. After all, the consequences of provoking Jiyu Fei were very serious. Moreover, East King used the name of Barbarian Sovereign's second son to gather the remaining forces of Barbarian Sovereign. Barbarian Sovereign had been operating in southern Barbarian for 3,000 years. His forces had penetrated everywhere in southern Barbarian. Although Barbarian Sovereign was killed by Jiyu Fei, many people were still loyal to him. These people knew that Man Yu was with East King, so they all sought refuge with him. In fact, everyone knew that East King was using Man Yu to gather the remaining forces of Barbarian Sovereign. His goal was to increase his own strength and then fight for hegemony in southern Barbarian. East King's ambition wasn't small. When Barbarian Sovereign was around, he could still suppress him. Now that Barbarian Sovereign was killed by Jiyu Fei, no one in southern Barbarian could suppress this feudal vassal. East King also obtained the support of Ling Tian Palace. Even if he went against the Shaman Sovereign, he wouldn't be afraid. Right now, the South Barbarians were in a tripartite situation. However, everyone knew that this situation would not last for long. Because whether it was the East King, the Sorcerer Tribe, or Jiyu Fei, none of them would share the South Barbarians with others. This was especially so for Jiyu Fei. He was extremely domineering and did not even care about the Ling Tian Palace. In his eyes, the East King and the Sorcerer Tribe were all the same. They were all trash that could not withstand a single blow. At this moment, the door of a cave residence in Ling Tian Palace slowly opened. The dozen or so powerful beings guarding outside the cave were extremely excited when they saw this. Palace Lord has finally come out of seclusion. The upper echelons of Ling Tian Palace had gathered here. They had been waiting for more than 10 days. Today, their Palace Lord had finally come out of seclusion. As the door of the cave slowly opened, an incomparably pure spiritual energy gushed out of the cave. The group of Ling Tian Palace's higher-ups outside the cave abode only felt the spiritual energy rushing towards them. Everyone's spirits were lifted. At this moment, a figure walked out of the cave abode. This person was dressed in a fluttering white robe. Her black hair draped over her shoulders. She was petite and had a pair of shiny black eyes that exuded boundless spirituality. No one would have thought that the Palace Lord of Ling Tian Palace, known as the #1 person in the Void Realm, was actually a woman. Her face was covered, and only a pair of eyes that were filled with spirituality could be seen. Her eyes seemed to have some kind of unimaginable power. No one dared to look at her directly. Her eyes seemed to be able to hook people's souls. Greetings, Palace Lord. When the group of Ling Tian Palace's higher-ups outside the cave abode saw the woman in white, they immediately knelt down. The woman in white casually waved her right hand. Everyone immediately stood up. The legendary ancestor Ling Tian was actually a woman. If people knew about this, their jaws would definitely drop to the ground. Lord Palace Master, your cultivation, a middle-aged man with a fat face and big ears greeted her with a smile. He was Ling Tian Palace's foreign affairs elder, Chen Yishan, who was in charge of finances. The woman in white glanced at Chen Yishan and did not speak. Fatty Chen, go away. An old man behind Chen Yishan pushed him to the side. Palace Lord, you have to save senior brother Tianhong. The old man looked anxious. Tianhong? What happened to him? Ling Tian Palace's Palace Lord looked at the old man curiously. This old man was the battle elder of Ling Tian Palace. He was in charge of Ling Tian Palace's external forces and was the most authoritative existence in Ling Tian Palace besides the Palace Lord. When Fatty Chen saw that it was the battle elder who pushed him away, he immediately cowered. One of them was in charge of money while the other was in charge of fighting. It was obvious who was stronger and who was weaker. Palace Lord, senior brother Tianhong has been trapped for 16 days. If you still don't come out, senior brother Tianhong will be trapped in the array and die. The battle elder said hurriedly. What? Ling Tian Palace's Palace Lord's eyes flashed coldly. In this void realm, there was actually someone who could use an array to trap Tianhong for 16 days. How was this possible? Ling Tian Palace's Palace Lord was in disbelief. However, the battle elder did not dare to lie to him. Interesting. Ling Tian Palace's Palace Lord suddenly smiled. Her eyes turned into crescent moons and a powerful aura erupted from her body. Everyone felt as though there was a mountain pressing down on them. Even their breathing quickened. Everyone present was the upper echelon of Ling Tian Palace. Although they were not Emperor Realm experts, they were either half-step Emperor Realm experts or peak God King Realm experts. When this group of people gathered together, it was enough to sweep the entire Void Realm. In the next moment, Ling Tian Palace's Palace Lord disappeared in front of everyone. Everyone was inexplicably shocked. None of them could clearly see how their palace master left. This was too frightening. One should know that there were half-step Emperor Realm experts among them. Could it be that the princess's cultivation has already surpassed the Emperor Realm? Fatty Chen exclaimed. The group of Ling Tian Palace's upper echelon was shocked to the extreme. Could their palace lord's cultivation have really broken through to that legendary realm? If that was the case, that Ji Yufei was nothing in front of the palace lord. The legendary realm was absolutely invincible in the Void Realm. The group of Ling Tian Palace's upper echelon was extremely excited. Ha ha ha. That Ji Yufei won't be able to jump around for long. The battle elder of Ling Tian Palace laughed loudly. At this moment, in the sky above Crouching Bull Ridge, 100 miles away from the southern barbarian royal capital, countless array patterns intertwined and the power of the 5 elements surged. An old man was rampaging in the array, looking extremely pathetic. This old man was the Ling Tian Palace's #1 array Dao expert in the Void Realm, Ancestor Tianhong. However, Ancestor Tianhong's hair and eyebrows were all burnt and his clothes were tattered. Although he had been trapped for 16 days, he was still very vigorous. However, he was already in a mess. Why? Aren't you going to kneel and beg for mercy? Chapter 50:10. 100 miles away from the southern barbarian royal capital, the Crouching Bull Ridge was filled with murderous intent. The sky above the Crouching Bull Ridge changed color as the power of the 5 elements gathered and countless formation patterns intertwined. An extremely terrifying and powerful energy wave spread in all directions with the Crouching Bull Ridge as the center. At this moment, there were still many powerful figures around the Crouching Bull Ridge. There were still many powerful figures watching. The shaman kings of the sorcerer race, the other kings of the southern barbarians' 19 feudal vassals other than Fierce Tiger King, North Garrison King, East King, and even the powerful figures from the West Sea, East Baron, Middle Sky, and North Ruins were here. Barbarian Emperor, who was killed by Ji Yufei, had once teamed up with the Ghost Emperor of the North Ruins. They were allies. However, after Barbarian Emperor's death, the Ghost Emperor did not come out to avenge him. The Ghost Emperor was extremely cunning and would never provoke Ji Yufei for Barbarian Emperor. Actually, Ji Yufei had already become famous after killing Barbarian Emperor and trapping Tianhong. At this moment, many powerful figures gathered around the Crouching Bull Ridge to watch the show. Forefather Tianhong was the formation forefather of Ling Tian Palace. If Ji Yufei attacked him, it meant that he was going against Ling Tian Palace. Everyone wanted to know what would happen if Ji Yufei went against Ling Tian Palace. One should know that Ling Tian Palace was the #1 force in the Void Realm. The legendary Ling Tian Palace Master was known as the #1 person in the Void Realm and was invincible. Was Ji Yufei trying to lure out the other powerful figures of Ling Tian Palace by trapping Tianhong? You have guts to not kneel and beg for mercy. Do you really think that I don't dare to kill you? Outside the 5 elements killing formation, Ji Yufei looked at Forefather Tianhong indifferently with his hands behind his back. Do whatever you want to me. Forefather Tianhong sneered. Forefather Tianhong sure is strong-willed. Do you think that Ji Yufei dares to kill Forefather Tianhong? That's hard to say. The powerful figures who were watching discussed in low voices. At this moment, Ji Yufei sneered and a powerful divine will exploded from his body. Buzz. The 5 formation discs hidden in the 5 elements killing formation immediately appeared in the void, and countless formation patterns rushed out of the formation discs. 5 kinds of array patterns interweaved, forming a 5 elements killing array. This is, when Patriarch Great Hong, who was trapped in the 5 element killing array, saw this scene, his eyeballs almost fell to the ground. He had been trapped in this killing array for 16 days. In these 16 days, he did nothing but search for the array board. If he couldn't even find the array disk, how could he break the array? However, in the past 16 days, Ancestor Tianhong had tried everything he could think of but could not find the array board of the 5 elemental killing formation. This made him extremely depressed. At this moment, Ji Yufei actually made the 5 great array discs appear from the void. What was this guy trying to do? I don't care what you want to do. Break the formation first. Patriarch Great Hong opened his mouth and spat out a divine fire at a green array disc. That array disc was the wood element array disc of the 5 elements array discs. Fire could subdue wood, and Patriarch Great Hong was a half-step Emperor Realm expert. The true fire he spat out was enough to burn the entire Crouching Bull Ridge into ashes. As long as the wood element array disc was burned, the 5 elements killing formation would collapse on its own. However, although Patriarch Great Hong's idea was good, the reality was cruel. The true fire that he spat out could not even touch the wood element array disc. An invisible force blocked Patriarch Great Hong's true fire. Trying to break my array? Dream on. Ji Yufei said calmly. Even if he allowed Patriarch Great Hong to attack the array disc, Patriarch Great Hong would not be able to damage it at all. How is this possible? Patriarch Great Hong was completely out of control. He attacked the 5 major array discs with all his might, but it was all in vain. The 5 elements killing formation continued to devour his energy. Other than sweating profusely and panting heavily, this Patriarch of Lingtian Palace could not shake Ji Yufei's 5 elements killing formation at all. Alright, now there are 2 paths for you to choose. Ji Yufei said. Which 2 choices? Patriarch Great Hong's eyes lit up and asked anxiously. Hearing Ji Yufei's words, he still had a chance of survival. Patriarch Great Hong, who was already in despair, naturally did not want to die. As long as there was a chance of survival, he would grab it firmly. The first choice is naturally death. Ji Yufei said unhurriedly. What about the second choice? Patriarch Great Hong was extremely anxious. There was no need to think about death. He would definitely not choose it. The second choice is to be my servant. Ji Yufei said. Patriarch Great Hong was a half-step Emperor Realm expert after all. Below the Emperor Realm, a half-step Emperor Realm expert was the strongest existence. Ji Yufei was currently lacking such a subordinate. What? Patriarch Great Hong was stunned. He was the Patriarch of Lingtian Palace's Patriarch of Lingtian Palace. How could he be someone's servant? You are unwilling. Alright then, I will send you on your way. Ji Yufei looked indifferent. To him, killing Patriarch Great Hong was just a matter of snapping his fingers. Don't. Patriarch Great Hong was anxious. He did not want to die. Greetings, Master, Tianhong. Patriarch Great Hong no longer hesitated and immediately knelt down in front of Ji Yufei. Humph. Since this is the case, why ask for trouble? Ji Yufei waved his right hand, and 9 talismans flew out from his hand. The 9 talismans passed through the 5 elements killing formation and entered Patriarch Great Hong's body. This, Patriarch Great Hong was shocked, and his expression changed drastically. Needless to say, the 9 talismans that Ji Yufei had entered his body were nothing good. I have already placed a restrictive spell on your body. Your life and death are in my hands. Ji Yufei smiled. Patriarch Great Hong could no longer smile. Instead, a layer of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Although he did not have to die, his life was in the hands of Ji Fei. His life and death were no longer up to him. Little brat, it's not good to poach someone. Right at that moment, a heavenly voice suddenly descended from the sky. Then, a white figure walked down from the sky. A faint fragrance permeated the air. Everyone felt as though they were bathed in a spring breeze. Palace. Palace Lord. Patriarch Great Hong's face turned pale when he saw the person. The person was shrouded in a white light. No one could see the person's face clearly. In fact, they could not even tell if the person was fat or thin. However, from the voice, it was a woman. Palace Lord. Ji Fei could not help but frown when he saw how frightened Patriarch Great Hong was. This person should be the Palace Lord of Ling Tian Palace. The Palace Lord of Ling Tian Palace came personally. Haha, Ji Fei is dead for sure. Chapter 50:11. In the sky above the crouching Bull Ridge, the Ling Tian Palace Master actually descended. This shocked everyone. The Ling Tian Palace Master was known as the #1 person in the Void Realm. In the Void Realm, there were only legends of the Ling Tian Palace Master. No one had ever seen his true face. This time, the Ling Tian Palace Master actually came to South Barbarian personally. Ji Fei was really influential. The appearance of the Ling Tian Palace Master immediately caused an uproar among the surrounding experts who were watching the show. The appearance of the mysterious Ling Tian Palace Master caused an uproar. Even the figure of the West Sea Old Dragon Emperor appeared in the distant sky. The Demon Emperor of the East Baron Demon Clan also came. The eastern sky was filled with demon aura. Compared to the high profile of the Demon Emperor, the Ghostly Emperor was much more low-key. The Ghostly Emperor was definitely here, but he did not show himself. The experts from the Middle Heaven Buddha clan and the Tian clan also hid in the dark and did not show themselves. The news that the Buddha clan and the Tian clan wanted to replace the Ling Tian Palace spread in the Void Realm. The strength of these two powerful clans could not be underestimated. However, the two ancient clans in the Middle Heaven were also very low-key. You are the Ling Tian Palace Master? Ji Fei looked at the glowing woman in front of him and could not help but frown. Even he could not see the woman's appearance and figure. He knew that he had finally met his match in the Void Realm today. What do you think? The Ling Tian Palace Master smiled. At this moment, Ji Fei waved his right hand. The 5 array discs floating in the void immediately shone with a dazzling divine light. The next moment, countless array patterns retreated like the tide and entered the 5 array discs in the sky. The 5 array discs flew back to Ji Fei and landed in his hand. The 5 elements killing array that trapped the array Dao ancestor of the Ling Tian Palace for 16 days was actually taken away by Ji Fei in an instant. This stunned ancestor Tian Hong. Ji Fei's formation Dao cultivation left him behind by God knows how many street. From Ji Fei, he saw a whole new world of array Dao. You are not from this world. The Ling Tian Palace Master suddenly said. Ji Fei heard this and asked, how do you know? Why don't you guess? Ling Tian Palace Master said with a smile. You're not from this world, are you? Ji Fei activated his martial Dao Heavenly Eye and looked at the Palace Lord of the Towering Heaven Palace. The martial path Heavenly Eye could see through all illusions. No illusion could hide from the martial path Heavenly Eyes. Ling Tian Palace Lord sneered. In the next moment, countless Dao patterns rushed out from her body and imprinted themselves in the void around her. At this moment, the void around the Ling Tian Palace Palace Lord seemed to have opened up a world that belonged to her. Even Ji Fei's martial path Heavenly Eye could not see through it. Interesting. Ji Fei smiled. He was even more certain that this Palace Lord Ling Tian wasn't someone from this world. He was an outsider just like him. He had accidentally entered this world when he was breaking through to the Infinity Realm. He was very curious as to how the other party had entered this world. Moreover, the other party had entered this world much earlier than him. This fellow had probably already entered this world during the ancient times of this world. Otherwise, how could she have become the Palace Lord of the Towering Heaven Palace? The experts who were watching the show nearby were shocked by the conversation between Ji Fei and the Palace Lord. What was going on? The two of them weren't from the Void Realm? Could it be that they were experts from another world? There had always been a legend in the Void Realm. The legend was that the land of Void Beginning was connected to the realm of immortality. Whoever could enter the realm of immortality would be able to escape from the cycle of life and death. They would be immortal and exist forever in this world. Could it be that Jiyu Fei and Lingtian Palace Lord were from the realm of immortality? Little fellow, you stole my servant. How do you think we should deal with this matter? Lingtian Palace Lord said. Sai, you can't blame me for this. This fellow wanted to be my servant no matter what. I couldn't do anything about it. Jiyu Fei said helplessly. What did you say? Lingtian Palace Lord was speechless. This fellow was really thick-skinned. You can ask him if you don't believe me. Jiyu Fei looked at old ancestor Tian Hong and said. This old ancestor Tian Hong was sweating profusely and terrified. He had just been restricted by Jiyu Fei and his life was in Jiyu Fei's hands. If he dared to betray Jiyu Fei only needed to think about killing him and he would be finished. However, Lingtian Palace Lord was not to be trifled with. She was known as the #1 expert in the Void Realm. As the array formation old ancestor of Lingtian Palace and one of the higher-ups of Lingtian Palace, no one knew better than old ancestor Tian Hong how powerful and terrifying Lingtian Palace Lord was. Tian Hong, is what he said true? Lingtian Palace Lord asked. Her voice was calm. This old ancestor Tian Hong stuttered and didn't dare to speak at all. All right, it's just a game. Why so serious? Jiyu Fei smiled. Just a game? Lingtian Palace Lord's voice was still calm. From her tone, no one could tell if she was happy or angry. Why don't we have a game too? Jiyu Fei suddenly said. Then how do you want to play? Lingtian Palace Lord asked. Let's play like this. After saying that, Jiyu Fei extended his hand to grab the Lingtian Palace Master. He wanted to see what the Lingtian Palace Master looked like. This guy, seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded. This Jiyu Fei was truly arrogant. He actually dared to attack the Lingtian Palace Master. He must be tired of living. Lingtian Palace Lord was the #1 expert in the Void Realm. Over the years, Lingtian Palace Lord was like a huge mountain that pressed down on the experts in the Void Realm, making them unable to lift their heads. The Sky Clan and Buddha Clan wanted to replace Lingtian Palace. However, everyone knew that as long as Lingtian Palace Lord was around, Lingtian Palace would continue to be above all the forces in the Void Realm. Jiyu Fei's grab was very powerful. It was like the claw of a 9 heavens real dragon, as though it could tear the void apart. Not bad. Just as Jiyu Fei's right hand was about to tear the void around Lingtian Palace Lord, a jade-like hand slapped out lightly and collided with Jiyu Fei's right claw. The jade-like hand retracted and Jiyu Fei's claw was blocked. What? Jiyu Fei can actually take a move from Lingtian Palace Lord? Seeing this scene, all the experts' eyeballs almost fell to the ground. Especially the emperors, they were even more shocked. Both Jiyu Fei and Lingtian Palace Lord's cultivation seemed to have surpassed the Emperor realm. How was this possible? Didn't those who surpassed the Emperor realm only exist in legends? Jiyu Fei is actually so powerful that he can compete with Lingtian Palace Lord? Chapter 50-12. The 19 vassal kings of Southern Barbarian were all formidable characters. They were the local emperors of Southern Barbarian and ruled over countless tribes in their territories. These 19 vassal kings had previously submitted to Barbarian sovereign, but now that Barbarian sovereign had been killed by Jiyu Fei, most of the vassal kings were watching from the sidelines. It should be known that choosing a side was very important. The consequences of choosing the wrong side were also very serious. Choosing the wrong side could cost one's life at any time. Therefore, except for a few vassal kings, the other vassal kings were very cautious. They were all watching from the sidelines and found it difficult to make a decision. The sorcerer race, Jiyu Fei, and East King. These 3 major forces were established in Southern Barbarian. Now it seemed that Jiyu Fei was extremely powerful and was like the sun in the sky. However, the sorcerer race was not to be trifled with. The sorcerer king had also come out of seclusion, and the sorcerer race was confident. As long as the sorcerer king was still around, No one dared to underestimate the sorcerer race, and the sorcerer race still had the strength to dominate southern barbarian. As for East King, at first glance, he seemed to be the weakest of the three major forces in southern barbarian. However, recently, East King had been using Manu's name to gather the remnants of barbarian sovereign. East King's strength had increased very quickly. Of course, this was still not enough. Even if East King gathered the remnants of barbarian sovereign, it would still be difficult for him to compete with Jiu Fei or the sorcerer race. However, East King had Lingtian Palace as his backing. This way, the situation was different. It could not be helped. Lingtian Palace's status in the Void Realm was so high. Now, no one would have thought that Jiu Fei would actually fight against Lingtian Palace so quickly. First, he trapped the Array Dao ancestor of Lingtian Palace, Tian Hong. Now, he directly went against the mysterious Palace Lord of Lingtian Palace. To everyone's disbelief, the Palace Lord of Lingtian Palace was actually a woman. Moreover, no one could see the appearance of the Palace Lord of Lingtian Palace. At this time, Jiu Fei got into a fighting stance. An extremely powerful aura immediately erupted from his body. This was his self-created fist technique, the Divine Fist of 5 Elements. The power of the 5 elements surged out from his body. It was as if a 5-colored divine fire was ignited on his body. Powerful waves of the 5 elements erupted from Jiu Fei's body, causing the surrounding space to tremble. Ripples visible to the naked eye spread out in all directions with him at the center. 5 elements qi? Palace Master Ling Tian seemed a little surprised. He didn't expect Jiu Fei to cultivate the 5 elemental qi. It should be known that the 5 elemental qi of the world were the 5 most difficult energies to control in the cultivation world. Again, Fire Dragon breaks the heavens. Jiu Fei shouted and threw a punch at Palace Master Ling Tian. A powerful fire elemental qi erupted from his fist. The fist force turned into a fire dragon, pouncing at Palace Master Ling Tian with its claws and fangs bared. The temperature of the entire world rose rapidly. Even the experts who were watching the battle from a dozen miles away could feel a wave of heat. The energy in their bodies seemed to have been ignited and was about to burn. Ice Seal! Palace Master Ling Tian shouted. In the next moment, a terrifying cold air erupted from his body. A cold dragon appeared in the sky and directly breathed a breath of cold air at Jiu Fei. Boom! The fire dragon against the ice dragon. The 2 dragons collided in an instant. With an earth-shattering sound, the 2 dragons exploded, and 2 completely different forces erupted. On Jiu Fei's side, the fire burned the sky. The area within a dozen miles turned into a sea of fire. Everything that was enveloped by the fire was burned to ashes. Even the stones were cracked. On the other hand, on Palace Master Ling Tian's side, the scene was completely different. The cold air was oppressive. The moment the cold dragon exploded, the area within a dozen miles turned into a world of ice and snow. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. The battle between the 2 was earth-shattering. It was a tie again. Even Palace Master Ling Tian couldn't suppress Jiu Fei. Everyone who witnessed this scene found it hard to believe. How was this possible? Could it be that even Palace Master Ling Tian couldn't handle Jiu Fei? King Dong was also extremely nervous because his greatest support was Palace Master Ling Tian. If Palace Master Ling Tian couldn't handle Jiu Fei, how would King Dong dare to compete with Jiu Fei? At this time, the sorcerer kings of the sorcerer tribe also had mixed feelings. Without a sorcerer emperor, no one could compete with Jiu Fei. Now that even Palace Master Ling Tian couldn't defeat Jiu Fei, the south would be Jiu Fei's world. Again, Jiu Fei raised his fist and the boundless fire instantly turned into a monstrous water. It was as if a sea had appeared between the sky and the earth. The next moment, Jiu Fei punched out. The endless water fist power turned into a terrifying torrent and rushed towards Palace Master Ling Tian with unstoppable force. Little guy, you have some skills. Ling Tian Palace Master smiled. In the next moment, a vast amount of earth elemental power burst out from the ground below him. The grayish earth elemental spiritual energy was like a monstrous sandstorm, rising high into the sky. An endless amount of earth elemental spiritual energy gathered behind Ling Tian Palace Master, forming a human figure that was even larger than a mountain. Everyone was dumbfounded at the sight of this. Even the emperors who were secretly watching the battle were moved. This was because the giant behind Ling Tian Palace Master, which was formed from endless earth elemental spiritual energy, emitted a powerful yuan qi fluctuation that was much stronger than the emperor's full strength. Using earth to defeat water, Ji Yufei's eyes lit up when he saw this. At this moment, the huge figure pushed forward with both hands, and boundless earth elemental power rushed towards the rushing torrent. Rumble, the entire void shook. The water elemental power and earth elemental power kept colliding, intertwining and cancelling each other out. The mighty energy storm swept through the sky and the earth. Even the peak of Crouching Bull Mountain was shattered. When the two forces collided, the energy storm formed spread in all directions. The area with a radius of 10 miles was razed to the ground. This kind of power was enough to destroy the world. Everyone's souls were trembling. There was nothing they could do. This scene was too shocking. Even the martial emperors were shocked. The combat power displayed by Ji Yufei and Palace Master Ling Tian was too strong. It was no wonder that Emperor Man died in the hands of Ji Yufei. 5-element fists. Ji Yufei's fist power was fully unleashed. The true power of the 5-element fist was earth-shattering. Every punch caused ripples that were visible to the naked eye to appear in the void. Palace Master Ling Tian was not bad. He also displayed the 5-element divine power and fought with Ji Yufei. For a moment, the two powerhouses were locked in battle. What surprised Ji Yufei was that Palace Master Ling Tian had been using the 5-element divine power to condense figures to fight with Ji Yufei. Chapter 50-13. Ling Tian Palace Master stood in the void. Endless spiritual qi of the 5 elements gathered around her. 5 silhouettes condensed in the void around her. Each of the silhouettes represented one of the 5 elements. This was Ling Tian Palace Master's 5 elements divine ability. Each of the 5 figures condensed by the power of the 5 elements was tyrannical, and each of them had the power of an emperor. Today, I will play with you with my 5 elements incarnation. Palace Lord Ling Tian said. Her heavenly voice seemed to have some kind of inconceivable power, causing everyone's soul to tremble. Those with weaker cultivations almost lost control of their minds, as though their souls were about to be hooked away. External incarnation technique? Ji Yufei said while attacking. At this time, Ling Tian Palace Master's Earth incarnation had already become the size of a normal person, and was fighting with Ji Yufei. Bang! Ji Yufei punched out, and the fire elemental power was like a volcanic eruption, directly blasting Ling Tian Palace Master's fire incarnation thousands of meters away. Ling Tian Palace Master's Earth incarnation became dim. However, the Earth Essence Qi continued to rise from the ground and enter Ling Tian Palace Master's Earth incarnation. This Earth incarnation solidified once again. Ling Tian Palace Master's 5 incarnations could absorb the world's spiritual qi and turn it into their own power. At this time, the other clones of Ling Tian Palace Master also made their move. 4 figures pounced towards Li Kuang at lightning speed. Rumble, the power of Ji Yufei's 5 elements fist burst out. The fist energy was mighty and indestructible, and it actually blocked the 5 incarnations of Ling Tian Palace Master. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, 5 kinds of power appeared on Ji Yufei's body at the same time, and they reached a perfect balance. The 5 kinds of power did not conflict with each other. However, in the hands of Ji Yufei, these 5 kinds of power burst out with the most powerful power. At this moment, the entire sky was illuminated with 5 different colors. Everyone looked at this scene in shock. This was the collision of the power of the 5 elements. It was like the creation of heaven and earth, as if it was evolving into a new world. Countless Tao patterns intertwined in the void, and all the 5 elements' divine light were like countless sharp blades, slicing through the void, and the void seemed to be riddled with holes. Muffled collisions resounded continuously. The 5 clones of the Ling Tian Palace Master were continuously sent flying. However, the 5 clones could not be destroyed no matter what. In fact, Ji Yufei was also very clear that as long as the original body was present, the avatar would never be destroyed. There was only one way to destroy these avatars, and that was to kill Palace Master Ling Tian. However, it was obvious that it would not be easy to kill the Ling Tian Palace Master. Moreover, Ji Yufei had never thought of killing the Ling Tian Palace Master. He was very curious about which world the Ling Tian Palace Master came from. At this moment, everyone who was watching the battle nearby was shocked by this battle. Even the emperors were the same. The intensity of this battle had long exceeded their expectations. Ji Yufei's strength had also far exceeded the expectations of the emperors. At this moment, Ancestor Tian Hong was extremely depressed. It was really too difficult for him. He had just become Ji Yufei's slave, and their Lord Palace Master had already come to kill him. How could he live like this? Helping Ji Yufei to fight Palace Master Ling Tian was courting death. If he were to help Palace Master Ling Tian, Ji Yufei, it was simply suicide. Now, Ancestor Tian Hong did not dare to choose a side at all. Master, in the distant sky, West Sea Old Dragon Emperor and West Sea Dragon Clan's little princess, Long Xiaoju, stood on the clouds. When they saw Ji Yufei fighting Palace Master Ling Tian, Long Xiaoju was immediately dumbfounded. Your master is very powerful. West Sea Old Dragon Emperor touched Long Xiaozhu's head and said, letting Long Xiaozhu become Ji Yufei's disciple was really a wise choice. Becoming a disciple of an expert like Ji Yufei would definitely benefit the West Sea Dragon Clan beyond imagination. Father, do you think Master will win? Long Xiaozhu was very worried because Ji Yufei's opponent was the #1 expert in the Void Realm, the mysterious and unpredictable Palace Master Ling Tian. You really can't answer me. West Sea Old Dragon Emperor's face turned red. He really could not see the depth of these two people. Their cultivation level had already surpassed this old antique who had dominated the West Sea for countless years. Forget about Palace Master Ling Tian, he was an existence that even West Sea Old Dragon Emperor had to bow down to. However, West Sea Old Dragon Emperor was very surprised that Ji Yufei was so powerful. West Sea Old Dragon Emperor had already sent the experts of the West Sea to investigate Ji Yufei's background. This Ji Yufei simply appeared out of thin air. Moreover, after his debut, he swept through all the way. No one was a match for him at all. In the end, even the barbarian emperor was killed by him. Now, this Ji Yufei was going up against Palace Master Ling Tian, an invincible existence. Although West Sea Old Dragon Emperor had cultivated for countless years, his cultivation level was far from the point of surpassing the Emperor realm. This Ji Yufei, the shaman kings of the sorcerer tribe knew that the South Barbarian probably had nothing to do with them anymore. If Ji Yufei was killed by Palace Master Ling Tian, then everything would be fine. If Palace Master Ling Tian didn't kill Ji Yufei, then the South Barbarian would be Ji Yufei's world. Because if even Palace Master Ling Tian couldn't kill Ji Yufei, then who else in this world could threaten Ji Yufei? In the entire South Barbarian, who else would dare to compete with Ji Yufei? At that time, even if the Shaman King appeared, it would be useless. Because no matter how strong the Shaman King was, could he be stronger than Palace Master Ling Tian? Swoosh! Just as Ji Yufei was fighting against the 5 incarnations of Palace Master Ling Tian, a divine light shot out from Palace Master Ling Tian. It directly pierced through the void and immediately pierced through Ji Yufei's left shoulder. Blood suddenly appeared, and every drop was blooming with bright divine light. It was as if a divine sun had appeared between heaven and earth, illuminating the whole world. Haha, I didn't expect you to be so unlucky. You are too unlucky. Palace Master Ling Tian laughed. Unlucky? Everyone was stunned when they heard Palace Master Ling Tian's words. Ji Yufei was unlucky? This guy was already so strong, but he was still unlucky. If this was unlucky, then everyone present was willing to be this unlucky. Me. Aren't you also an unlucky guy? What's there to be proud of? Ji Yufei said disdainfully. However, he was still very surprised because this Palace Master Ling Tian could actually injure him. It should be known that Ji Yufei's martial body was the real infinite martial body. Even an extreme Dao tool or even an eternal Dao tool couldn't hurt him at all. This Palace Master Ling Tian could actually injure him, which meant that this Palace Master Ling Tian was also an existence of the infinite prime realm, and her cultivation should have almost recovered. However, Ji Yufei was not afraid of this guy, because even if the other party could defeat him, she couldn't kill him. Chapter 50:14. Ji Yufei's martial body was the infinite martial body. Although his cultivation was suppressed by this world, he was still far from recovering his infinite prime cultivation. But even so, Lingtian Palace Master could not kill him. At this moment, everyone stared at the countless droplets of blood that were like divine suns falling from the sky. Every single droplet of blood exploded with an unimaginably powerful aura of life. The entire world was filled with endless vitality. Withered trees sprouted and withered flowers bloomed again. Even the rocks had sprouted blades of grass. Everyone nearby felt that their blood and qi had become more vigorous. The speed of their yuan qi circulation was also much faster than usual. This is peerless blood. One drop can regenerate flesh and bones from the dead. This is more useful than any divine medicine. All the experts were shocked to the extreme. Ji Yufei's blood was actually such a peerless blood. It was too unbelievable. However, the precious blood in everyone's eyes suddenly flew back to Ji Yufei and entered Ji Yufei's body. The bloody hole on his left shoulder that was pierced by Lingtian Palace Master also healed at a visible speed. When Ji Yufei's blood was retracted, the extremely powerful vitality in the world instantly disappeared. Everyone looked at Ji Yufei as if they were hungry wolves that had seen a piece of fat meat, and they wished for nothing more than to skin him alive. Facing the countless hungry wolf-like gazes, Ji Yufei only sneered. A shocking aura immediately exploded from his body. It was like a supreme god had appeared in the world and was looking down on the common people. Everyone felt an extremely powerful pressure pressing down on them, causing them to almost be unable to straighten their backs. "Do you still want to fight?" Lingtian Palace Master's heavenly voice sounded. "He, how can I fight? You can't kill me and I can't do anything to you." Ji Yufei shrugged and said, "Yes, that's really the case. Your physical body cannot be destroyed by the heavens and buried by the earth. If anyone wants to kill you, they will have to do it." Palace Master Ling Tian muttered. "Who are those people?" Ji Yufei was a little curious, but he could vaguely guess who the people Ling Tian Palace Master was talking about were. "What do you think?" Palace Master Ling Tian did not say it clearly. "Return." At this moment, the Ling Tian Palace Master let out a soft cry. Her 5 clones that were fighting with Ji Yufei flew back to the Ling Tian Palace Master and entered her body. "Do what you want, but don't disturb my cultivation." As Ling Tian Palace Master spoke, he turned into a beam of divine light and soared into the sky, instantly disappearing from the world. Everyone was dumbfounded when they heard this. If even Ling Tian Palace Master couldn't deal with Ji Yufei, then who else in this world could deal with Ji Yufei? "We are willing to submit." One powerful figure after another walked over from the distance and knelt in front of Ji Yufei. These were the vassal kings who were still watching. This time, there were 9 vassal kings who came out, which shocked everyone who saw this scene. Including Fierce Tiger King and North Garrison King who had submitted to Ji Yufei, there were a total of 11 vassal kings who had submitted to Ji Yufei. These were 11 vassal kings. Everyone knew what this meant. This was equivalent to more than half of South China falling into the hands of Ji Yufei. Only East King and the Sorcerer tribe had not expressed their stance. Among the Sorcerer tribe, one of the candidates for the Saintess, the Heaven Shaman Priest, had some friendship with Ji Yufei. They seemed to be engaged. Of course, Ji Yufei did not have any thoughts about the Sorcerer tribe, because fighting for hegemony was not his real goal. Fighting for hegemony was just a means to achieve his goal. This kind of scheming was not suitable for him. As long as he had enough power, all kinds of schemes and tricks were useless. Moreover, Ji Yufei did not have any concerns in this world. He had only accepted 2 disciples. A person who had no concerns was the most terrifying because no one could use his family and friends to threaten him. In the mortal world, Ji Yufei had his weaknesses. His weaknesses were his wife, daughter, brothers, and disciples. But in the mortal world, Ji Yufei had no weaknesses, he had no weaknesses. At this time, East King had already retreated quietly. Ji Yufei brought the vassal kings and old ancestor Tianhong back to the South China royal capital. However, there were still some vassal kings who were still watching. Relying on Lingtian Palace seemed to be an option. After all, Lingtian Palace Master was an existence that could suppress Ji Yufei. Wasn't East King the representative of Lingtian Palace in South China? Even Lingtian Palace Master couldn't kill Ji Yufei. What should we do? In the main hall of East King's mansion, Man Yu's angry and unwilling roar resounded. The result of the battle between Lingtian Palace Master and Ji Yufei had already reached Man Yu's ears. Man Yu was naturally dumbfounded. The one who attacked was Lingtian Palace Master, the publicly acknowledged #1 person in the world. Even such an existence couldn't kill Ji Yufei. Didn't that mean that no one in the world was a match for Ji Yufei? Second Master, have you forgotten about that place? East King smiled. What place? You mean? Man Yu's face was suddenly filled with fear. Only the existence of that place can kill Ji Yufei. East King continued. Extreme Devil Cave. Man Yu squeezed out these 3 words with difficulty. Rumble. When Man Yu said these 3 words, a thunderclap resounded above East King Mansion. These 3 words seemed to have angered the heavens. This is the only way to kill Ji Yufei. East King's face turned sinister. How could Southern Man fall into the hands of Ji Yufei? Man Yu looked at East King with flickering eyes. He knew that East King wasn't a good person. Barbarian Emperor once told him that East King was very ambitious and shouldn't be too close to him. But now that Barbarian Emperor was killed by Ji Yufei, Man Yu could only rely on East King. East King wanted to use Man Yu's influence to gather the remaining forces of Barbarian Emperor and strengthen himself. Both of them took what they needed and each had their own ulterior motives. Second Master, don't hesitate. Don't you want to take revenge for your father's death? East King said coldly. All right. Man Yu nodded heavily. He decided to head to Extreme Devil Cave. Second Master, if you don't be ruthless to yourself, how can you be ruthless to your enemies? This king will send people to escort you to Extreme Devil Cave. As East King spoke, he immediately summoned the experts under him. Soon, one powerful figure after another walked into the hall from outside. Man Yu was shocked to discover that the weakest among them was a peak god king. There were also 3 peerless experts at the half-step emperor realm. Man Yu had been in the Eastern King Mansion for so long, but he had never seen these people before. Chapter 50-15. The East King's ambition could no longer be hidden because he had been preparing for 1,000 years. It had to be said that the East King really had the strength to dominate the southern wilderness. Behind him was the Lingtian Palace. With the Lingtian Palace's name, who would dare to touch him? Moreover, he had gathered a lot of experts. Whether it was threats or promises, or taking in those vicious fellows, his strength had increased greatly. At this time, Ji Yufei was like the sun in the sky. He was unstoppable. 11 of the 19 vassal kings of the southern wilderness had pledged their allegiance to Ji Yufei. Although the remaining vassal kings were still observing, they didn't have much time left. If they didn't choose a side now, they wouldn't have to. Although Ji Yufei had fought with the Lingtian Palace Master, this battle didn't change the power structure of the southern wilderness. The entire southern wilderness was still in a tripartite situation. The witch race, the East King, and Ji Yufei still controlled the entire southern wilderness. The external forces of the southern wilderness also seemed to be restless. However, the Eastern Wasteland Demon race and the West Sea Dragon race had failed to invade the southern wilderness. This was a lesson learned. However, the strength of the Middle Heaven was much stronger than the Eastern Wasteland Demon race and the West Sea Dragon race. Both the Buddha race and the Heavenly race had Emperor Realm existences. Moreover, these 2 forces had more than one Emperor Realm expert. This was the confidence of the Middle Heaven Buddha bead and the Heavenly race. The Ghost Emperor of the North Ruins didn't move either. No one knew what he was planning. However, Ji Yufei wasn't afraid of anyone. At this time, Man Yu was heading to the Extreme Devil Cave under the protection of the 10 experts sent by the East King. Among the 10 experts sent by the East King, 3 were half-step Emperor Realm existences, and 7 were peak divine kings. These 10 experts said that they were protecting Man Yu, But they were actually monitoring him. The extreme devil cave was located in the middle heaven. The place Jiu Fei wanted to go to was also in the middle heaven. The land of void beginning was also in the middle heaven. The mysterious heavenly race was the protector of the land of void beginning. The extreme devil cave was in the territory of the Buddha race. The Buddha race had shouldered the heavy responsibility of guarding the extreme devil cave for countless years. The entire void realm could be in chaos, except for the land of void beginning and the extreme demon cave. This was because the empty beginning land and the extreme demon cave were forbidden areas. No one could easily enter these two places because they were related to the safety of the entire void realm. At this moment, Man Yu placed his last hope on extreme demon cave. Just when Man Yu was being protected by the 10 experts of East King and quietly leaving southern barbaric land, Jiu Fei went into seclusion again. He directly threw everything to his subordinates. He wanted to increase his cultivation again and then prepare to go to the empty beginning land to find a way to leave this world. He could not stay in the empty world forever. If he stayed in the void realm, he might be able to unify the 5 great regions and become the world lord of the void realm. However, to him, the void realm was too small. His stage was in the limitless realm. Limitless was his goal. Southern barbaric royal capital, in the underground dragon vein, Jiu Fei sat cross-legged in the void. This place was not dark because there was a huge dragon of unknown length emitting a bright divine light. This huge dragon was not a real dragon, but a huge dragon condensed from the essence of the earth. The essence of the earth in the entire southern barbaric land was gathering towards this huge dragon. The southern barbaric royal capital was actually built on the ancestral dragon vein of southern barbaric land because all the dragon veins of southern barbaric land originated from here. Jiu Fei wanted to use the ancestral dragon vein of southern barbaric land to break through the shackles of his current cultivation. He wanted to recover his 9 paths of cultivation and then go to the land of void beginning. The land of void beginning was mysterious. For countless years, no one knew the truth of the land of void beginning. Moreover, the land of void beginning was guarded by the heaven race. Even peerless experts of the Emperor realm couldn't enter. At this time, even the heaven race and the Buddha race would never have thought that someone would dare to have designs on the land of void beginning and the extreme demon cave. Let's begin. Jiu Fei, who was sitting cross-legged in the ancestral vein of southern barbaric land, circulated his mysterious technique. The dense earth spirit energy in the surroundings immediately gathered towards him. Soon, Jiu Fei was enveloped by a ball of divine light. His entire body seemed to have transformed into a huge cocoon, waiting for the moment to break out of the cocoon and become a butterfly. Master actually went into seclusion at this time. This is too casual. In the palace hall of the southern barbaric royal capital, Long Xiaoju sat on the dragon throne with his legs crossed. He was eating a thumb-sized spirit fruit that the maid handed him. Junior sister, you are Master's disciple. You represent Master's face. You have to pay attention to your image. Xiao Ya, who was standing at the side, said in an old-fashioned manner. Why are you like an old man, little fellow? Long Xiaoju glanced at Xiao Ya and said disapprovingly. Xiao Ya was speechless. This junior sister of hers was really different. She was the princess of the Western Sea Dragon clan, but she didn't have any of the noble aura that a princess should have. Instead, she was a little devil who caused trouble everywhere. At this moment, there were 11 extremely powerful figures standing in the hall. Every single one of them had an extremely powerful aura. Although they were standing there quietly, they were like towering mountains that stood between the heavens and the earth. 11 vassal kings. When the 11 of them stood together, the aura they formed was something that even ordinary godly kings couldn't withstand. Your Highness, look, the old high priest, who had been following Xiao Ya, said respectfully to her. He wanted to say something but stopped himself. The old high priest's cultivation was really pitifully low, but he had a talisman on him. With this talisman, he could completely ignore the shocking aura of the vassal kings. What are you looking at? All of you go back and guard your current territories. Wait for Master to come out of seclusion. Xiao Ya glanced at the vassal kings in the hall and said, Your Highness, the Witch Clan and East King are eyeing us covetously. If Master doesn't show himself, how are we going to deal with them? The fierce Tiger King said as he stood up. Just guard your territory. When Master comes out of seclusion, he'll kill all those disobedient people. The Sorcerer Tribe, East King, they're all useless. Are they stronger than Palace Master Ling Tian? Xiao Yue said coldly. Hehe, little senior sister is right. Since Master is in seclusion, it's only natural for him to break through to the next realm. When Master comes out, his cultivation base will definitely improve greatly. At that time, I'm afraid that even Palace Master Ling Tian will not be a match for Master. Long Xiaoju chuckled. The vassal kings in the hall couldn't help but be shocked when they heard that. If Ji Yufei's cultivation could really improve, then the Witch Clan and East King wouldn't be a threat at all. One had to know that Ji Yufei could already fight against an invincible existence like Palace Lord Ling Tian. Yes, we will take our leave. The fierce Tiger King and the others hurriedly cupped their hands at Xiao Yue and Long Xiaoju before leaving the hall. Chapter 50:16. Middle Heaven was one of the 5 regions of the Void Realm. It was also the central region of the Void Realm. Among the 5 regions, Middle Heaven was the most prosperous region. Eastern Wasteland, Western Sea, Southern Barbarian, and North Ruins added together couldn't compare to Middle Heaven. This was because the Buddha race and the Heavenly race had more than one Emperor Realm expert. Moreover, besides the Buddha race and the Heavenly race, Middle Heaven also had other powerful sects and cultivation clans. For example, the Battle Sect, the Heavenly Dao Sect, and the Iron Blood Heavenly Wolf Gang. These were the top forces in Middle Heaven besides the Buddha race and the Heavenly race. Under the protection of the 10 experts sent by East King, Man Yu entered the territory of Middle Sky and rushed to Extreme Devil Cave. Middle Heaven was vast, but no one could unify it and become its overlord. The major forces fought each other for territory and cultivation resources. The whole of Middle Heaven was not peaceful. Barbarian Yu came from the south and entered the southern part of the Central Sky. This place was the territory of the Battle Sect. The headquarters of the Battle Sect was located in Battle City. If one wanted to go to Extreme Devil Cave, the shortest route was to pass through Battle City. If they took a detour, it would take them a few more days to reach Extreme Devil Cave. Man Yu, who was eager for revenge, couldn't wait any longer. He wanted nothing more than to quickly obtain invincible power and go back to take revenge on Ji Yufei. At this time, Ji Yufei was in the ancestral earth vein below the southern barbarian royal capital. He was using the endless earth spirit energy to attack his cultivation shackles. The endless essence of the earth constantly gathered towards the light cocoon that Ji Yufei had transformed into. 9 types of Dao patterns kept appearing on the large cocoon. The aura of the 9 great Daos surged out of the cocoon. The inside of the cocoon seemed to be nurturing a world. The 9 great Daos collided and intertwined inside the cocoon. The power of the great Daos was vast. Ji Yufei wanted to condense the 9 great Daos again and recover his eternal realm cultivation. In the Void Realm, the Emperor Realm was publicly recognized as the strongest cultivation realm. Realms above the Emperor Realm only existed in legends. However, if Ji Yufei were to successfully condense the power of the 9 Daos and restore his eternal realm cultivation, then his cultivation would definitely be above the Emperor Realm. Ji Yufei's seclusion was originally a very secret matter, but very quickly, the news of Ji Yufei's seclusion spread throughout the southern barbarian royal capital. This infuriated Xiao Yue. She immediately summoned the fierce Tiger King and the North Vanquishing King and asked them to investigate who had leaked the information. This was because only Xiao Yue, Long Xiaoju, the old high priest, and the 11 vassal kings knew that Ji Yufei was in seclusion. It was impossible for anyone else to know that Ji Yufei was in seclusion. Very soon, the fierce Tiger King and the North Vanquishing King took action, and the atmosphere of the entire southern man's royal capital immediately became tense. Ji Yufei actually went into seclusion at this time. In one of the palaces of the witch race in the southern barbarian royal capital, the Grand Witch King summoned the other witch kings. Currently, there were only 7 witch kings left in the witch race. This was because the witch king, Wu Ying, had been killed by Ji Yufei. Ji Yufei had killed Wu Ying, but the witch race did not punish him. This made the other forces of southern Barbarian very surprised. The witch race actually admitted defeat in front of Jiyu Fei? This is a good opportunity, the Witch King, Wu Jiao, said. Good my ass. Have you forgotten how Wu Ying died? Wu Fang sneered. When the Witch Kings heard this, their expressions changed. This Jiyu Fei was a ruthless person. He even dared to wave his fist at the Lingtian Palace Master. If they angered him, the consequences would be very serious. Wu Ying was a good example. We don't have to go against Jiyu Fei, but we can give them a little pressure. Wu Jiao said with a gloomy face. Give them a little pressure? The other Witch Kings looked at Wu Jiao curiously. How? Wu Fang asked. The army is here, but we don't do anything. Wu Jiao said with a solemn face. What, just for show? All the Witch Kings were stunned. That's right. Just for show. Pretend that we will attack Fierce Tiger King and the rest at any time. If they can't take it anymore and attack us first, then we will give them a head-on blow. Wu Jiao said with his teeth clenched. His gaze became extremely sharp. When the Witch Kings heard this, their eyes lit up. This is a good idea. No matter how strong Jiyu Fei is, he can't be unreasonable. When that time comes, he can't blame us. All the Witch Kings nodded in agreement. Because there was no risk in doing so. If the other party became overly nervous and attacked them first, it would definitely be a rare opportunity for the sorcerer tribe. It would be a legitimate opportunity for them to deal a heavy blow to Jiyu Fei's forces. Soon, the army of the witch race took action. In particular, Wu Jiao's army directly gathered in a city less than 500 miles away from Fierce Tiger King's residence. They set up camp there and built fortifications. Wu Jiao's action really frightened the Fierce Tiger King. Because Wu Jiao put on a formation to attack Fierce Tiger King at any time. No one knew if this Witch King Wu Jiao really wanted to attack Fierce Tiger King. Fierce Tiger King directly sent the most elite Fierce Tiger army to Flying Tiger City to confront Black Wolf City where Wu Jiao was. The unusual action of the witch race immediately attracted the attention of all parties. One must know that at this sensitive time, any unusual action of the three major forces of southern China would attract attention. The news of Jiyu Fei's seclusion had already spread throughout southern China. Even the forces of other regions had received this news. Everyone was puzzled as to why Jiyu Fei didn't take the opportunity to expand his territory but chose to seclusion. Could it be that he really wanted to fight with Ling Tian Palace Master? Some people guessed that the reason why Jiyu Fei went into seclusion was to make a breakthrough in his cultivation and then fight with Ling Tian Palace Master. Of course, no matter what the reason for Jiyu Fei's seclusion was, it made the major forces eager to make a move. One must know that after Jiyu Fei killed Barbarian Sovereign, he left behind a lot of territories that he didn't have time to control. Now, these places had become ownerless, and all the forces wanted a piece of the pie. As a result, the entire southern China became turbulent again. Fierce Tiger King and Witch King Wu Jiao were confronting each other. For a moment, the atmosphere between Flying Tiger City and Black Wolf City was extremely tense. A storm was brewing. The major forces had a show to watch again. Dong Wang also took action. He directly sent troops to take over 3 cities. These 3 cities were controlled by the remaining forces of Barbarian Sovereign. Xiao Ya originally wanted to send people to take over these 3 cities, but who would have thought that Dong Wang would beat her to it? This made Xiao Ya furious, but she couldn't do anything about it. Jiyu Fei was in seclusion. No one could do anything to Dong Wang because Dong Wang was an expert. Chumph, Dong Wang actually dared to snatch Jiyu Fei's food. When Jiyu Fei comes out of seclusion, there will be a good show to watch. Chapter 50-17. After Jiyu Fei went into seclusion, only goddess Xiao Ya came forward to manage everything. However, Xiao Ya was too young, and her cultivation level was only at the god realm. She couldn't convince the masses at all. However, Xiao Ya was Jiyu Fei's disciple after all. Therefore, the 11 vassal lords who sided with Jiyu Fei didn't dare to be disloyal. As for Tian Hong, who was originally the array formation ancestor of Ling Tian Palace, he was planted with a restrictive spell by Jiyu Fei, so he didn't dare to betray Jiyu Fei. With the 11 vassal lords and ancestor Tian Hong holding down the fort, the other forces couldn't do anything for the time being. Moreover, Ji Yufei's other disciple was the little princess of the West Sea Dragon clan, Long Xiaoju. Therefore, the West Sea Dragon clan naturally stood on Ji Yufei's side. The West Sea Dragon clan was an extremely powerful clan. Even in the entire Void Realm, no force dared to look down on the West Sea Dragon clan. At this time, Long Xiaoju was cultivating the array formation Dao taught by Ji Yufei in the cultivation room of Southman Royal Capital. The situation in Southman Royal Capital was unstable. The West Sea Dragon clan naturally wouldn't let their little princess fall into danger. They sent many experts into Southman Royal Capital. Xiao Ya allowed the experts of the West Sea Dragon clan to enter and leave Southman Royal Capital freely. At this time, Ji Yufei's seclusion had reached the most critical juncture. In the dragon vein deep under Southman Royal Capital, there was a huge cocoon of light floating in front of the dragon-shaped ancestral vein. Countless Dao patterns were intertwined. However, among the countless Dao patterns, there were 9 Dao patterns that were incomparably bright. The other Dao patterns were gradually devoured by these 9 Dao patterns. Inside the cocoon of light, Ji Yufei was re-evolving the 9 Dao patterns, and the progress was smooth. The power of the 9 great Dao was gradually recovering in his body. His power was just suppressed. As long as the laws of heaven and earth recognized him, his power would be awakened. Just a little bit more, Ji Yufei, who was enveloped by the endless divine light of the great Dao, emitted an unparalleled might. It was as if a terrifying ancient beast had awakened from its slumber. Time flowed by. Man Yu and the others arrived at the headquarters of the Battle Sect, near Battle City. Man Yu stood on a mountain several miles away from the city and gazed at Battle City. He couldn't help but sigh in admiration. The scale of this huge city was almost comparable to the southern barbarian royal capital. This Battle City was not only a large city, it was also very prosperous. There was an endless stream of horses and carriages in the city, and it was extremely lively. There was a large trading market here, and every day, there would be countless cultivators exchanging for cultivation resources. If one was lucky, they might even be able to pick up some scraps. In addition, auctions were frequently held here, and there would often be powerful existences appearing in Battle City. The sect master of the Battle Gate was an existence with 1 foot in the Emperor realm. What a huge city! Man Yu exclaimed. To a certain extent, this place is even more prosperous than the southern barbarian capital. Things that can't be found in the southern barbarian capital can often be found here. A hunchbacked old man beside Man Yu looked at the huge city ahead with a complicated gaze. This person was called Mu Tianfeng, and he was the leader of the 10 experts sent by the East King. He was also the strongest among them. In the cultivation world, appearance, origin, and so on weren't important. The most important thing was cultivation and combat strength. Only those with powerful cultivation and combat strength could be the boss. This hunchbacked old man looked unprepossessing, but no one dared to underestimate him. Even Man Yu was polite to him, not daring to show any disrespect. Let's go, enter the city. Man Yu waved his hand and walked down the mountain with large strides. The 10 experts sent by the East King exchanged glances and hurriedly chased after Man Yu. Sect Master, the target has appeared. Battle City, in the main hall of the City Lord's mansion, a middle-aged man reported to the Sect Master. Very good, continue to watch. The famous Sect Master of the Battle Gate sat on the throne in the middle of the main hall. Yes. After the middle-aged man received the order, he directly left the main hall. Sect Master, since that person is here, why don't we capture him and sell a favor to that person from the West Sea? A black-bearded old man sitting on the left side of the throne looked at the Battle Gate Master in confusion. Let's wait and see first. The Battle Gate Master said in a deep voice. The implications of making a move on that guy are too great. The higher-ups of the Battle Gate were very clear about this point. Man Yu was too arrogant. He actually swaggered into Battle City without any intention of hiding his identity. He was now a big shot, the only son of Man Emperor among the 3 sons of Man Emperor. The major forces in Middle Sky were also paying attention to the situation in South Man Emperor. Because Man Yu was the only son of Man Emperor, his portrait had already spread throughout the major forces in the Void Realm. Naturally, the Battle Gate also had a portrait of Man Emperor. As soon as Man Yu entered the city, the eyes of the Battle Gate were on him. Soon, Mu Tianfeng, who was beside Man Yu, felt that something was wrong. They were being watched, and there were many people watching them. They were really unhappy. If Man Yu had disguised himself, would there have been so much trouble? Mu Tianfeng's heart suddenly stirred. Could Man Yu be doing this on purpose? One must know that although East King was polite to the son of Man Emperor on the surface, the son of Man Emperor was just a puppet. Everyone was well aware of this. Man Yu was also very clear of his situation. East King wanted to use Man Yu's identity as the son of Man Emperor to strengthen his own forces. Although East King had sent 10 experts to escort Man Yu to Extreme Devil Cave, Mu Tianfeng and the others were actually monitoring Man Yu. Senior Mu, why don't we find an inn and stay for a night before leaving? Man Yu walked on the street and looked around. He seemed to be very interested in the things around him. Second Master, we are already being watched. I think we should leave the city quickly, Mu Tianfeng said expressionlessly. What? We are being watched? Man Yu was shocked when he heard that. He looked a little flustered. When Mu Tianfeng saw Man Yu's expression, he was even more certain that his guess was right. Man Yu was doing this on purpose. He sneered in his heart. Continue acting. I reckon that you won't be able to escape my grasp. As one of the top experts under East King, Mu Tianfeng naturally had the confidence to be arrogant. He didn't put those people who were watching them in the dark in his eyes. Even if the sect master of the Battle Gate, Wang Dozhan, acted personally, he wouldn't be afraid. Yen, let's leave the city quickly. Don't complicate matters. Mu Tianfeng said coldly. Man Yu wanted to say something but hesitated. In the end, he didn't say anything. The group walked along the street and passed through the city, heading towards the North Gate. What are these guys rushing to do? When Wang Dozhan received the news, he couldn't help but frown. Keep an eye on those guys. Don't act rashly, Wang Dozhan ordered. Very soon, a large number of disciples of the Battle Gate moved. Chapter 5018. The south of Culmination was the world of the Battle Sect. The sect master of the Battle Sect, Wang Dozhan, was a powerful existence at the half-step Emperor realm. If Wang Dozhan's cultivation could break through to the Emperor realm, then the Battle Sect could become a super sect that could contend with the Buddha clan and the Sky clan. If the Buddha clan and the Sky clan were first-rate forces, then the Battle Sect was a second-rate force. Although it was a second-rate force, the strength of the Battle Sect couldn't be underestimated. Man Yu's appearance made Wang Dozhan very nervous. One had to know that Man Yu was the second son of the Barbarian Emperor and the only one among the 3 sons of the Barbarian Emperor who was still alive. The Barbarian Emperor used to be the overlord of Southern Barbarian, one of the 5 overlords. After the once invincible Barbarian Emperor was killed by Ji Yufei, he left behind quite a number of Barbarian Emperor survivors. As long as Man Yu is still alive, these Barbarian Emperor survivors will still have hope and will always go against Ji Yufei. And Dong Wang wanted to use Man Yu's identity as the son of the Barbarian Emperor to recruit troops. In fact, many of the Barbarian Emperor survivors had already submitted to Dong Wang. Now, Dong Wang sent Mu Tianfeng, one of the top 10 experts, to protect Man Yu and head to Extreme Devil Cave to find the ultimate power of this world to deal with Ji Yufei. After Man Yu and the others left Southern Barbarian, they were a little relaxed. Perhaps they thought that they didn't need to hide their identities and could move freely. However, after Man Yu and the others entered Battle City in the south of Culmination, they found that they were being watched. Man Yu appeared in Battle City. In the Nanman Imperial capital, a golden divine eagle rushed over from the distant sky like a bolt of lightning and directly landed in the imperial palace of the imperial capital. Long Xiaoju walked out of the palace hall with a golden divine hawk perched on her left shoulder. Someone had sent her a message, telling her about Man Yu's whereabouts. Of course, although the golden eagle was fast, It couldn't fly from Battle City to southern barbarian royal capital in a short period of time. This was because the distance between Battle City and southern barbarian royal capital was too far. However, there were teleportation platforms in the huge cities in the Void Realm. Through the teleportation platforms, long-distance teleportation could save a lot of time. "Princess, do you want to go to Battle City?" A figure hidden in the darkness suddenly said. This person stood in the darkness, as if he had become one with the surrounding darkness. If he had not spoken, no one would have noticed his existence. "That's right. I've just comprehended some of the true meaning of Array Dao. I'm looking for someone to practice with." Long Xiaoju revealed an incomparably cold smile. This little princess of the West Sea Dragon clan was very talented in the Dao of formations. "Princess, that Man Yu is easy to deal with, but that Mu Tian Feng by his side," the mysterious shadow wanted to say something but hesitated. "Are you scared?" Long Xiaoju raised his eyebrows. "I, Heisho, have never known how to write the word fear," the black shadow said in a deep voice. "If you're not afraid, why should I be?" Long Xiaoju shrugged, and then he shot into the sky and vanished beneath the veil of the night. Where is she going this time? On the balcony of a pavilion in the Imperial Palace, Xiao Yue happened to see Long Xiaoju leave. She couldn't control this junior sister. Moreover, she also knew that Long Xiaoju couldn't stay idle. How many days had he been in seclusion? He couldn't help but run out to play again. "Your Highness, this." The old priest stood behind Xiao Yue with a worried expression. "Let her be. Don't look at how playful she is usually, she knows her limits." As Xiao Yue spoke, she turned and walked into the pavilion. "Sigh." The old priest sighed, shook his head, and followed her in. Soon, at the teleportation array of the southern barbarian royal capital, a divine light shot into the sky and instantly disappeared into the horizon. Someone used the teleportation array? Many experts in the royal capital looked up into the sky and were indescribably shocked. Because it was a critical period now, Xiao Yue had already ordered that the teleportation array couldn't be used easily. Now, there were only 3 people who were qualified to use the teleportation array. One was Xiao Yue, the other was Long Xiaoju, and the third was old ancestor Tian Hong. Xiao Yue and Long Xiaoju were Ji Yufei's disciples. Who would dare to stop them if they wanted to use the teleportation array? As for old ancestor Tian Hong, he was the array formation ancestor of the towering Heaven Palace. His cultivation and combat power were above the 11 southern barbarian feudal lords who had submitted to Ji Yufei. Moreover, he had been restricted by Ji Yufei. As long as he wanted to live, he would never betray Ji Yufei. Therefore, he could naturally use the teleportation array for the absolutely loyal old ancestor Tian Hong. Hence, some people guessed which of the 3 of them, Xiao Yue, Long Xiaoju, or ancestor Tian Hong, had left the southern Man capital. All the forces were guessing what Xiao Yue and the others were planning. No one thought that Long Xiaoju left the southern barbarian capital to deal with Man Yu. Soon, Long Xiaoju appeared in the battle city. "Little junior sister is here. Why didn't you give me a heads up before coming? You could have let me prepare myself." Long Xiaozhou's arrival immediately made Wang Dozhan's nerves tense up. He had some connections with the West Sea Dragon clan. He was an in-name disciple of the West Sea Old Dragon Emperor. It was also because of this identity that Wang Dozhan would send people to keep an eye on Man Yu. Long Xiaoju used the teleportation array to come, which directly alerted Wang Dozhan. She had yet to step off the teleportation array when Wang Dozhan had already arrived. "Senior brother Wang, how have you been?" Long Xiaoju smiled and said to Wang Dozhan. "Haha, if I was unwell, how could I still come and pick you up?" Wang Dozhan laughed loudly. "How is master?" Wang Dozhan put away his smile and said with a solemn expression. "That father of mine is very well. He often talks about you with me," Long Xiaoju said as she looked around. "Is that so? It's rare that master still remembers me, this disciple. I haven't gone to the West Sea to pay a visit to him for many years. I've let master down." Wang Dozhan sighed. "Senior brother, you've developed well these years. There are many experts in the battle sect." Long Xiaoju suddenly smiled slyly. Wang Dozhan was a little confused. At this time, the higher-ups of the battle sect in battle sect had all arrived. On the ground and on the roofs, there were many powerful figures. It's all right, Wang Dozhan said casually. Senior brother, this time I'm here because I have something to trouble senior brother. Long Xiaozhou's expression became solemn. Haha, you and I are senior brother and junior sister. If there's anything, junior sister can just tell me. Wang Dozhan laughed loudly. All right then, I won't stand on ceremony. Senior brother, do you know where Man Yu is? Long Xiaozhou said directly. Man Yu? Wang Dozhan couldn't help but be stunned when he heard that. Little junior sister actually came for Man Yu. However, he then understood that little junior sister had already become Jiyu Quangren's disciple. Chapter 50-19. Jiyu Quangren, Jiyu Fei. In the eyes of the elites from the top forces of the 5 great domains, he was so arrogant that he did not even take the Ling Tian Palace Lord seriously and dared to challenge him. That was the Ling Tian Palace Lord, the publicly acknowledged number 1 elite in the Void Realm. Who dared to challenge the Ling Tian Palace Lord? Even the West Sea Elder Dragon Emperor, who had lived for countless years, did not dare to challenge him. However, Jiyu Fei did not hesitate to challenge him. The battle between Jiyu Fei and the Ling Tian Palace Lord had shaken the entire Void Realm, and Jiyu Fei's name had also spread throughout the Void Realm. Everyone knew that the madman Jiyu Fei had killed the Barbarian Emperor. Now that the Barbarian Emperor's son, Man Yu, had appeared in Battle City in the southern Midheaven domain, and Long Xiaozhou had also rushed to Battle City, it seemed that Battle City was going to be very lively. At this time, Long Xiaozhou had already been welcomed into the city hall by Wang Dozhan. Now, Long Xiaozhou was not only the West Sea Elder Dragon Emperor's favorite daughter, she also had another identity, and that was Jiyu Quangren's disciple. Wang Dozhan immediately sent out countless spies to keep an eye on Man Yu. However, Man Yu did not stay in Battle City, but instead headed straight for the north gate of Battle City. He wanted to travel under the cover of the night. However, it was unknown if Man Yu was doing this on purpose or not, but it took him a full hour to arrive at the north gate. At this time, there was an army gathered at the north gate. This army was blocking the city gate. At this time, the city gate was tightly shut. A strand of cold light flashed in Man Yu's eyes when he saw this. Kill. Without any hesitation, Mu Tianfeng charged forward. Enemy attack! Enemy attack! The battle sect's army at the north gate immediately dispersed, and a general charged towards Mu Tianfeng, the spear in his hand piercing towards Mu Tianfeng like a poisonous dragon. You're courting death. Mu Tianfeng let out a cold laugh. With a wave of his left sleeve, he directly knocked the spear that was piercing towards him to the side. He clenched the 5 fingers of his right hand and punched the general's chest with lightning speed. Bam! Catcher! The sound of impact and bones breaking rang out from the general's body at the same time. In the next moment, the general was sent flying backwards by Mu Tianfeng's punch, continuously coughing up blood. This battle general smashed into the group of battle soldiers behind him, knocking over a dozen battle soldiers before collapsing to the ground. He had already breathed his last. The battle soldiers that were smashed by this general were either dead or injured. Seeing this scene, all the soldiers were scared out of their wits. This guy was too powerful. He had actually killed their Lord Zhong Jun with a single punch. Seeing how mighty and powerful Mu Tianfeng was, those soldiers immediately hid far away. Go! Mu Tianfeng took the lead and directly rushed towards the city gate. Then, with a furious roar, he fiercely punched the tightly shut city gate. Boom! With a loud sound, the thick and heavy city gate that was wrapped in iron was actually blasted open by Mu Tianfeng's extremely powerful punch. How dare you cause trouble in Battle City? A loud shout rang out. In the next moment, an incomparably powerful pressure appeared between heaven and earth. A black shadow rushed towards Mu Tianfeng like a black bolt of lightning. Trouble. Mu Tianfeng frowned. The person who came was incomparably powerful. He directly threw a punch towards Mu Tianfeng. The fist had not yet arrived, but the wind from the punch had already arrived. The wind from the punch was like a sharp blade that slashed across Mu Tianfeng's face, causing his skin to feel a faint pain. Mu Tianfeng sneered. His body sank, and his feet firmly stood on the ground like wooden stakes. His right fist, however, shot out like lightning. The two fists instantly collided. In that instant, the surrounding sound suddenly disappeared. In the next moment, an incomparably shocking explosion rang out, and the two figures flew backwards. Senior Mu, seeing this scene, Man Yu was also shocked. The person who came could actually fight against Mu Tianfeng. Could this guy be the sect leader of Battlegate, Wang Dozhan? Their figures flashed, and the two half-step Emperor Realm experts rushed towards the man in black. Both of them exploded with the powerful aura of half-step Emperor Realm. Other than Mu Tianfeng, there were two other half-step Emperor Realm experts among the 10 experts sent by East King. One of them was a hunchbacked old man named Tuo Xiong. Of course, this name was not his real name. Perhaps only East King knew his true origin. The other half-step Emperor Realm expert was called Mr. Qiu. This Mr. Qiu was a sword cultivator. He was dressed in white and carried an ancient sword on his back. His long beard hung down to his chest, and he looked like an otherworldly expert. You want to gang up on me? I, Lei Ao, am more than happy to do so. The man in black was tall and mighty. His battle intent was like a rainbow. He glanced at Tuo Xiong and Mr. Qiu with a disdainful expression. You are the vice-sect leader of Battlegate, Lei Ao? Tuo Xiong and Mr. Qiu were shocked when they heard this. Battlegate was a second-rate sect in Middle Sky. However, even a second-rate sect was very powerful. The sect leader, Wang Dozhan, was undoubtedly the strongest in the Battlegate in terms of cultivation and battle strength. Lei Ao was the second strongest person in the Battlegate. His cultivation and battle strength were only slightly weaker than Wang Dozhan. You guys protect second master and leave first. Mu Tianfeng walked towards Lei Ao step by step. A powerful aura exploded from his body. The surrounding soldiers felt as if a mountain was pressing down on them, and they almost couldn't stand up straight. Everyone retreated far away in fear. Even Man Yu and the others felt the pressure increase. The 7 divine kings protected Man Yu as they walked towards the city gate. Want to leave? Did you ask for my permission? At this moment, a voice rang out. Then, a red figure descended from the sky and landed on a pavilion beside the city gate. The newcomer's red clothes fluttered in the wind. Her hair was draped over her shoulders, and her face was covered. She was looking at Man Yu and the others. Who are you? Man Yu sneered. How dare you be disrespectful to my junior sister? Be careful that I don't chop you up and feed you to the dogs. A figure appeared beside the lady in red and roared at Man Yu. Haha, I'm right here. Come and chop me up. Man Yu laughed in disdain. Good fellow, you have guts. It has been many years since someone dared to be impudent in front of me, Wang Dozhan. The man's gaze sharpened. He is Wang Dozhan? The 7 godly kings around Man Yu were shocked when they heard this. Wang Dozhan was the sect leader of Battlegate. Man Yu's forehead was covered in sweat. He didn't expect Wang Dozhan to personally make a move. Wang Dozhan's cultivation and combat strength were very powerful. What are you still standing there for? Why aren't you escorting second master out of the city? Mu Tianfeng roared at the 7 divine kings. Yes, yes, yes. Chapter 50-20. Long Xiaozhou's identity was extremely noble. Not only was she the most beloved daughter of the West Sea Dragon Emperor, but she was also the disciple of Jiyu Quangren, who had recently turned the entire South Barbarian upside down. Ever since Jiyu Fei fought with the mysterious Palace Lord of Ling Tian Palace, no one dared to look down on Jiyu Fei in the Void Realm. After all, who dared to fight with the mysterious Palace Lord of Ling Tian Palace? Even if Jiyu Fei couldn't defeat the Palace Lord of Ling Tian Palace, he was still known as the second strongest expert in the world. As Jiyu Fei's disciple, who dared to slight Long Xiaozhou? Wang Dozhan didn't dare to slight her either. In order to help Long Xiaozhou capture Man Yu, he personally came to the North Gate. At this moment, in Zhongtian, the North Gate of Battle City was filled with cold murderous intent. Long Xiaozhou stood on a pavilion beside the city gate and looked coldly at Man Yu, the second son of Barbarian Emperor, who was protected by the 7 divine kings. The second son of barbarian emperor actually needs someone to protect him? Long Xiaoju sneered. Long Xiaoju, I have no enmity with you in the past. Why do you have to make things difficult for me? At this moment, Man Yu already knew Long Xiaoju's identity. Don't talk nonsense. It's impossible for me to let you go. Long Xiaoju said coldly. Second master, hurry up and leave. One of the 7 divine kings said anxiously. Leave? Where can I go? Wang Dozhan, who was standing beside Long Xiaoju, leaped up and flew towards Man Yu. A powerful pressure erupted from his body and the spiritual energy in the void immediately gathered towards him. I'll deal with Lei Ao. The two of you go and protect second master. As Mu Tianfeng spoke, he sent a punch towards Lei Ao. A powerful fist force burst out from his fist, causing the void to tremble. Tuo Xiong and Mr. Choshire didn't say anything and charged towards Wang Dozhan, who was pouncing towards Man Yu. Tuo Xiong flipped his right hand and a long black whip appeared in his hand. With a shake of his right hand, the long whip coiled around Wang Dozhan like a black snake. At the same time, a sword hum sounded. The ancient sword on Mr. Choshire's back was unsheathed. With a flash of cold light, a sharp sword ray pierced through Wang Dozhan's body. A chilling sword chi spread out, and the temperature of the world dropped rapidly. Battle God Fist. Wang Dozhan roared and threw a punch at the sword light. At the same time, he reached out with his left hand and grabbed the long whip that was coming at him. Clang. When Wang Dozhan's fist collided with the sword light, a metallic clang rang out. The incomparably sharp sword light was unable to touch him at all. What? Master Choshire was shocked when he saw this. Could it be that this guy had cultivated to the invincible Vajra level? At this moment, Wang Dozhan pulled hard with his left hand. The long whip was immediately stretched taut. Tuo Xiong was extremely shocked. The long whip in his hand was almost pulled away by the other party. Roar. Tuo Xiong let out a roar and exerted force with his right hand, wanting to pull back the whip. Hee hee. Wang Dozhan suddenly laughed and let go of the whip. What? Caught off guard, Tuo Xiong could not help but fall back. He did not expect Wang Dozhan to let go of his whip. Wang Dozhan stretched out his hand and grabbed at Man Yu. This guy, the 7 divine kings who were protecting Man Yu were shocked when they saw this. At the next moment, they attacked Wang Dozhan at the same time with all their strength. Extremely violent power burst out as the 7 divine kings attacked at the same time. The power that burst out gathered together and turned into an invincible torrent that rushed towards Wang Dozhan. Wang Dozhan sneered. At the next moment, he turned his claw into a fist. He clenched his 5 fingers and used his famous move, the Battle God Fist. Boom! The two powerful forces instantly clashed together, causing an earth-shattering explosion. Everyone in the entire battle city was startled awake by this explosion. In the dark night, not only did this explosion spread throughout the entire Battle War city, even the tribes outside the city were alarmed. At this moment, the army of Battle War City had already started moving. The Battle Sect had established a regular army to rule over their territory. There were 100,000 soldiers from the Battle Army stationed in the city. And there were 200,000 soldiers from the Battle Army stationed outside the city. Right now, regardless of whether it was the barracks inside or outside the city, all of them were brightly lit. Countless soldiers were gathering. Very quickly, the sound of hooves from the Battle War cavalry entered Long Xiaozhou's ears. At this moment, the 7 divine kings vomited blood and retreated at the same time. Even if the 7 divine kings joined forces, they would not be a match for Wang Dozhan. Wang Dozhan was incomparably domineering. He fought 1 against 7 and actually did not retreat at all. He was like a huge mountain that stood towering in front of everyone. Bam! At this moment, Man Yu, who was originally trembling in fear, actually attacked with lightning speed and punched Wang Dozhan's chest. Wang Dozhan was stunned. This fellow actually dared to attack him? Little fellow, you are courting death. Wang Dozhan grinned and extended his right hand, wanting to grab Man Yu. However, Man Yu suddenly raised his head and revealed a trace of a cold smile. Wang Dozhan's heart moved. In the next moment, His entire body froze. His face revealed an expression of disbelief. His extended right hand also stopped in the air. "You, despicable." Wang Dozhan gritted his teeth and said. Even his eyes were red. He only felt a stinging pain spreading from his fist. Very quickly, his entire body was in pain. Only then did Man Yu slowly retract his fist. On his fist, between his fingers, there was actually an incomparably sharp black thorn. God-slaying thorn? When Wang Dozhan saw the black thorn between Man Yu's fingers, he was instantly scared out of his wits. "Wang Dozhan, go to hell." Tuo Xiong roared and directly rushed over. He clenched his right fist and ruthlessly punched Wang Dozhan's head, causing Wang Dozhan to fly out. Boom! Wang Dozhan directly smashed through a house and fell in. What? When everyone saw this, they were all shocked. Senior brother, when Long Xiaoju saw this, she couldn't help but be furious. This Man Yu was really too despicable. She directly jumped down from the pavilion and grabbed the void with her right hand. An inconspicuous long saber immediately appeared in her hand. Buzz! When Long Xiaoju poured her strength into the saber in her hand, a dragon's roar immediately came out from the saber. The shadow of a dragon emerged from the saber. Emperor beheading saber? When Man Yu saw the saber in Long Xiaozhou's hand, his eyes instantly widened. This emperor beheading saber belonged to his father, Man Huang. Now, it actually fell into Long Xiaozhou's hands. It seemed that Ji Yufei really treated his disciple very well. Roar. At this moment, Lei Ao roared continuously. He wanted to rush over to see how Wang Dozhan was doing, but he was stopped by Mu Tianfeng. Even Mu Tianfeng didn't expect Man Yu to have this move. Chapter 50-21. Before Ji Yufei went into seclusion, he gave Monarch Beheading Saber to Long Xiaoju. In Ji Yufei's eyes, Monarch Beheading Saber, which was known as the #1 saber in the south, wasn't the strongest Dao weapon. After he gave Monarch Beheading Saber to Long Xiaoju, he gave the complete golden armor he got from Barbarian Emperor to Xiao Ya. The power of the golden armor should be above Monarch Beheading Saber. It was just that Barbarian Emperor hadn't been able to unleash the true power of the golden armor. Man Yu was stunned when he saw Monarch Beheading Saber. This was Monarch Beheading Saber, the #1 saber in the south. No one knew the power of this saber better than Man Yu. Buzz! Long Xiaoju shook the Monarch Beheading Saber in her hand and swept it horizontally. A domineering arc of saber light rushed out from the saber and slashed towards Tuo Xiong and Mr. Choshure. The Monarch Executioner Saber was a divine weapon renowned throughout the world. Even half-step Emperor realm cultivators like Tuo Xiong and Mr. Choshure were shocked when they saw the blade light coming at them. They immediately dodged it without a second thought. Man Yu immediately ran away when he saw Long Xiaozhou's saber. Long Xiaoju forced these guys back with one slash and immediately turned around to rush into the wall that Wang Dozhan had crashed through. Senior brother, you. Long Xiaoju immediately saw Wang Dozhan lying in the rubble. She was shocked when she saw Wang Dozhan's appearance. Wang Dozhan's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Moreover, Wang Dozhan's current condition was very bad. He was poisoned, and it wasn't an ordinary poison. This kind of poison could definitely kill a half-step Emperor realm expert. Little junior sister, Wang Dozhan couldn't even speak properly. God-slaying thorns poison? Long Xiaoju was extremely shocked. One had to know that Wang Dozhan was an expert among half-step Emperor realm experts. He was actually poisoned to this extent and was on the verge of death. She didn't dare to be negligent and quickly took out a pill and stuffed it into Wang Dozhan's mouth. This was her life-saving divine pill that could cure all poisons in the world. Whether it was the god-slaying thorns poison or other strange poisons that made people pale at the mention of it, it could cure all of them. This was because Ji Yufei had given it to Long Xiaoju and little Ya to save their lives. Ji Yufei did not want his disciple to die in the hands of those despicable and shameless people. Long Xiaoju originally thought that Wang Dozhan was poisoned too deeply and was beyond saving, but who would have thought that after he took the divine pill, the black gas on his face would actually recede at a speed visible to the naked eye. This, Long Xiaoju was surprised and overjoyed. His master did not lie to him. This divine elixir could even cure the poison of the god-slaying thorn. He had to ask his master for a few more of these divine elixirs. If Jiu Fei knew what Long Xiaoju was thinking, he would probably go crazy. Asking for a few more? Even refining a single divine pill like this was extremely difficult. Most importantly, he needed a drop of his blood to refine this divine pill. Who would be stupid enough to bleed themselves for no reason? Boom. At this moment, there was a loud noise, and the entire house suddenly collapsed. Countless bricks and stones smashed towards Long Xiaoju. Instead of taking the opportunity to escape, you dare to attack me. Long Xiaoju smiled. She had the monarch executioner in her hand. Even if she wasn't a half-step emperor realm, she would still dare to fight against a half-step emperor realm cultivator. Roar. Long Xiaoju roared angrily and slashed upwards with the monarch executioner. The falling roof was directly split in half, and she rushed out. Whoosh. As soon as Long Xiaoju rushed out, a black shadow immediately wrapped around her body like a poisonous snake. It was a black whip, and countless sharp blades suddenly emerged from the whip that was wrapped around Long Xiaoju. Haha, go to hell. Tuo Xiong laughed loudly and pulled hard. The whip wrapped around Long Xiaoju's body immediately tightened, wanting to tear her apart at the waist. However, the sharp blades on the whip only managed to cut through Long Xiaoju's outer clothes. They couldn't cut through the soft armor beneath her clothes at all. This was a famous protective armor of the West Sea, known as the Thousand Dragon Armor. This Thousand Dragon Armor was forged from the dragon scales and dragon skin of the fallen dragon tribe of the West Sea. Ordinary Dao weapons could not break through the Thousand Dragon Armor's defense at all. What? Seeing that his whip couldn't hurt Long Xiaoju, Tuo Xiong's expression changed. In the next moment, he wanted to retract his whip, but it was too late. The monarch executioner in Long Xiaoju's hand had already moved. With a flash of the blade, the whip wrapped around her body was directly cut in half. This, Tuo Xiong felt extremely pained. This was the Dao weapon that he had refined his entire life. It was destroyed just like that. This made his heart bleed. At this moment, a sword light shot towards Long Xiaoju. However, Mr. Choshire was also shocked when he saw that Long Xiaoju cut Tuo Xiong's whip in one move. Long Xiaoju was holding the number 1 saber of the South Barbarians, the monarch executioner. Mr. Choshire hurriedly recalled his flying sword. At the same time, Lei Ao roared and rushed over. Mu Tianfeng took the opportunity to rush towards Man Yu. He grabbed Man Yu's shoulder and soared into the sky, directly flying out of Battle City. At this moment, the garrison troops in and outside the city had already fought their way to the north gate. Countless arrows pierced through the air and shot towards Mu Tianfeng and Man Yu. Mu Tianfeng sneered. With a wave of his right sleeve, all the arrows that were shot towards him were sent flying away. Many of the arrows were even shot towards the army of the battle gate below. When the arrows fell, screams immediately sounded. Many of the cavalrymen of the battle sect were hit and fell off their horses. The cavalrymen outside the battle sect were instantly in chaos. Retreat! Mu Tianfeng roared towards Tuo Xiong, Mr. Choshue, and the others who were still inside the north gate. Then, without turning his head, he grabbed Man Yu and fled. Mu Tianfeng was so powerful, but he actually wanted to escape. That was because he sensed Wang Dozhan's aura. Boom! At the same time, there was a loud sound. Broken bricks instantly flew in all directions. A figure walked out from the smoke and dust. This person was Wang Dozhan. His aura was like a rainbow, and his body was filled with vast and mighty energy. His eyes were extremely sharp as he looked in the direction that Mu Tianfeng escaped. Want to escape? Wang Dozhan's right foot stepped on the ground. His entire body turned into a ray of divine light and soared into the sky. In an instant, he pierced through the sky and chased after Mu Tianfeng. Seeing that their boss had retreated, Tuo Xiong and Mr. Choshire did not want to continue fighting and also wanted to escape. However, Lei Ao exploded and directly faced Tuo Xiong. This is not a place where you can come and go as you please. Lei Ao roared angrily. He punched out again and again. Every time he punched out, there would be a dazzling electric light exploding from his fist, illuminating the night sky. Tuo Xiong was incomparably depressed. This guy bullied me because my Dao tool was destroyed. Is he easy to bully? Lei Ao's Heaven's Thunder Fist was incomparably domineering. The destructive fist force was vast and mighty, forcing him to continuously dodge. Ha ha, hunchbacked old man, I'll be leaving first. Mr. Choshure laughed loudly. He became one with his sword and soared into the sky. His speed was extremely fast, and he instantly disappeared into the night sky. Chapter 5022. Battle City, North Gate. The moon was dark and the wind was strong. The lights were brightly lit. At this moment, the battle sect's army had already surrounded the entire North Gate. Even a bird wouldn't be able to fly out of the North Gate at this moment. Old Fart Choshure, Old Thief Mu, Yu, Tuo Xiong, who was blocked by Lei Ao and Long Xiaoju at the North Gate, had already cursed Mu Tianfeng and Mr. Choshure's ancestors. These two bastards actually abandoned him and escaped. Like Tuo Xiong, the 7 godly kings were also blocked at the North Gate. Kill. The 7 godly kings roared angrily as they flew towards the North Gate. However, just as they rushed into the sky, countless flying arrows were shot at them from all directions. However, these 7 fellas were all godly king existences. A ball of divine light appeared on the 7 of them. All the arrows that were shot towards them were repelled by the divine light. This kind of attack couldn't hurt these godly kings at all. Swoosh. At this moment, there was a flash of blood. A godly king in the sky suddenly fell from the sky. A faint, almost invisible black shadow moved quickly in the void like a shadow. With a flash, another godly king fell from the sky. What? Who is it? Before a godly king could finish his sentence, he covered his throat. His eyes bulged out and he also fell from the sky. When the other godly kings saw this, they were scared half to death. They immediately scattered in all directions. In just a blink of an eye, 3 godly king experts were killed by the mysterious shadow. This shocked Lei Ao, the battle sect's vice-sect leader. Although these godly kings were like ants in Lei Ao's eyes, to ordinary cultivators, they were high and mighty godly kings. To be able to kill godly kings in a second, the abilities of this mysterious expert were imaginable. Don't let any of them off. Long Xiaoju said in a deep voice. Yes, master. A cold voice resounded in the void. Long Xiaoju was staring at Tuo Xiong. You are dead. Long Xiaoju coldly said to Tuo Xiong. TSK, you only have the Emperor Beheading Saber in your hand. If you don't use the Emperor Beheading Saber, I can stab you to death with one finger. Do you believe me? Tuo Xiong stared at Long Xiaoju disdainfully and said. I believe you, but I won't give you the chance. Long Xiaoju said calmly. She was well aware of the Dragonslayer Saber's power. With her current cultivation level and Monarch Executioner, she could even put up a fight against a half-step Emperor Realm cultivator. However, without Monarch Executioner, she was no match for Tuo Xiong at all. Cut the crap and die. Lei Ao didn't want to waste time with this guy. He threw a punch at Tuo Xiong. His thunder fist force was incomparably domineering. Before his fist even reached Tuo Xiong, more than 10 bolts of lightning had already blasted towards him. Each bolt of lightning was incomparably dazzling, as if it was tearing the void apart. People who cultivated this kind of lightning cultivation method had a fiery temper. Since Tuo Xiong dared to cause trouble in his territory, he would directly send him to the next world. How would Tuo Xiong dare to fight with Lei Ao now? He immediately rushed into the sky and fled. However, a saber was already slashing towards his head. Damn it! Tuo Xiong roared angrily. He instantly moved a few feet to the side, dodging the saber and Lei Ao's fist. However, in the next moment, Tuo Xiong's body was already surrounded by the saber shadows of Monarch Executioner. It was as if there were countless Monarch Executioner saber slashing towards him. Without any suspense, Tuo Xiong still wanted to struggle on his deathbed. However, countless saber shadows fell instantly and Tuo Xiong was instantly dismembered. A half-step Emperor Realm cultivator died under Long Xiaozhou's saber just like that. Even Tuo Xiong himself probably didn't expect to die in Battle City. Monarch Executioner indeed lives up to its name. When Lei Ao saw this scene, he was stunned. Tuo Xiong's cultivation level and combat strength were not low. If he were to fight with his life on the line, he might be able to kill Tuo Xiong. However, he would definitely be severely injured. However, Long Xiaoju actually killed Tuo Xiong with just 2 slashes. He relied on the Monarch Executioner saber in his hand. The power of the Monarch Executioner saber made Lei Ao's heart palpitate. Humph! This Monarch Executioner saber is imbued with my master's power. Not to mention a half-step Emperor Realm cultivator, even a true Emperor Realm cultivator might not be able to take 1 slash from me. Long Xiaoju said proudly. What? Lei Ao was even more shocked when he heard this. Master, the mission is completed. Leave no one alive. A black shadow suddenly appeared behind Long Xiaoju like a shadow. Very good. Long Xiaoju nodded his head. Lead the way, Long Xiaoju said. Yes. The shadow directly shot up into the sky and flew out of the city. Countless soldiers outside actually didn't see this mysterious shadow. Long Xiaoju also shot up into the sky. In the next moment, the rain of arrows appeared again. Countless flying arrows were shot towards Long Xiaoju. Stop, King stop. Lei Ao roared angrily. He was extremely nervous as he also rushed forward. If Long Xiaoju was injured, the battle sect would be finished. One should know that Long Xiaoju was the most beloved daughter of the West Sea Elder Dragon Emperor. The West Sea Elder Dragon Emperor was the longest living emperor in the Void Dimension. This was because the mysterious Palace Lord of Ling Tian Palace had already surpassed the Emperor realm. Moreover, the West Sea Elder Dragon Emperor was the master of their battle sect leader, Wang Dozhan. Most importantly, Long Xiaoju was the disciple of Ji Yufei. Who was Ji Yufei? He was an existence even more powerful than the West Sea Elder Dragon Emperor. Who would dare to touch the disciple of the ruthless Ji Yufei? The people from the battle army didn't know who Long Xiaoju was. However, after hearing Lei Ao's roar, they stopped. Very quickly, Long Xiaoju's figure disappeared under the night sky. These ordinary flying arrows couldn't hurt her at all. All of you, go back to your encampment. In the sky, Lei Ao roared at the battle army outside the north gate. Yes, yes. The generals of the battle army hurriedly took the order and led their troops back to their encampment. Lei Ao also turned into a bolt of lightning and instantly disappeared under the night sky. Long Xiaoju's target was Man Yu. Even though she killed the 7 divine kings and the half-step emperor realm Tuo Xiong, she didn't kill Man Yu. Naturally, she wouldn't let it go. However, Mu Tianfeng was really strong. Even though he was escaping with 1 person, he still left Wang Dozhan far behind. Very quickly, Mu Tianfeng got rid of Wang Dozhan. Damn it! Wang Dozhan, who could no longer sense Mu Tianfeng's aura, angrily smashed a small hill beside him. I don't believe that you can escape from my 5 Fingers Mountain. Wang Dozhan gritted his teeth. He hated Man Yu to the core. This guy actually dared to sneak attack him, causing him to almost die from the poison of the god-slaying spike. Chapter 50-23. Battle City regained its peace. Outside Battle City, a chase was still going on. Lei Ao, you bastard, we have no enmity in the past, why are you staring at me? Sword light streaked across the sky, tearing through the dark night. Behind the sword light, a dazzling lightning chased after it, a destructive aura spread out. Cut the crap, fight me if you have the guts. Lei Ao sneered. Fight you? Fight my ass. Mr. Choshure's voice resounded, he became one with the sword, turning into a resplendent sword light and instantly leaving. But the battle sect's sect master Lei Ao's lightning escape technique was also incomparably fast. It was definitely not easy for Mr. Choshure to shake him off. And at this moment, Long Xiaoju was led by the shadow, chasing after Mu Tianfeng. Long Xiaoju's shadow protector was not only proficient in assassination techniques, he was also proficient in tracking techniques. It wasn't easy for Mu Tianfeng to shake them off. At this moment, Mu Tianfeng really wanted to slap Man Yu to death. If it wasn't for this guy being so high profile, why would they be in such a sorry state? No one knew what happened to the others. Although the battle sect wasn't the strongest power in Sky Center, they couldn't be underestimated. There were many experts in the battle sect, Mr. Choshire and Tuo Xiong might be able to escape, but the 7 divine kings might be in danger, they might all die in Battle City. Mu Tianfeng's guess was really accurate. The 7 divine kings sent by Dong Wang really all died in Battle City. Even Tuo Xiong was killed by Long Xiaoju. This was something Mu Tianfeng didn't expect. Tuo Xiong was a half-step emperor. Even if Mu Tianfeng made a move, it wouldn't be easy to kill Tuo Xiong. Why, can we catch up? In a forest under a hill, Long Xiaoju asked the shadow-like mysterious figure beside him. Master, they won't be able to escape. The shadow replied. Good, then continue to chase. Long Xiaozhou's face was terrifyingly cold. She knew Man Yu's purpose in coming to Sky Center. That guy definitely wouldn't come to Sky Center for no reason. It would be best to capture Man Yu. If Man Yu captured Man Yu and brought him back to the southern barbarian royal capital, his master would definitely be happy. Maybe his master would be happy and impart a few ultimate moves to him. When Long Xiaoju was chasing after Man Yu, Ji Yufei was still in seclusion in the earth ancestral vein deep under the southern barbarian royal capital. At this time, Ji Yufei condensed the spiritual energy of the earth around him. In the void of the ancestral vein, a cocoon of light emitted endless divine light. Re-enter the eternal realm, I am supreme. An extremely dignified voice suddenly rang out in the ancestral vein. In the next moment, the endless spiritual energy gathered in the ancestral vein was devoured by Ji Yufei. Just how much spiritual energy was this? And yet, it was sucked dry by Ji Yufei in an instant. Of course, this was only the ancestral vein. The spiritual energy in this huge space had been sucked dry by Ji Yufei. The huge dragon-shaped ancestral vein was still emitting extremely pure spiritual energy. A figure appeared in the void. I finally succeeded. Ji Yufei stood in the void with his hands behind his back. He sensed the powerful power in his body, but there wasn't a trace of surprise on his face. Instead, he was very calm. This was equivalent to him cultivating all over again. In the void realm, the eternal realm should be the legendary realm that surpassed the emperor realm. However, in the void realm, there was no such thing as the eternal realm. Instead, there was a realm called the transcendent emperor realm. Right now, Ji Yufei was in the transcendent emperor realm. With a thought, 9 Dao patterns appeared on his body. They were faintly discernible around him, emitting the aura of 9 great Daos. Very quickly, the 9 Dao patterns vanished into his body. It's time to go out. With just a thought, Ji Yufei disappeared into the void without a trace. At this time, the pure spiritual energy from the dragon-shaped ancestral vein filled the huge space again. In the palace hall of the Nanman royal capital, Xiao Ya was faced with a series of thorny issues. She really didn't know what to do. Fierce Tiger King had been in a stalemate with the Witch King Wu Jiao in Black Wolf City for many days. Fierce Tiger King finally fell into the trap and attacked Wu Jiao in Black Wolf City first. This was a war that directly ignited the whole Nanman War. Fierce Tiger King's attack on Black Wolf City was exactly what the sorcerer race wanted, so the sorcerer race had an excuse to fight back. After East King received the news, he directly sent troops to attack from the east. The vanguard headed straight for the Nanman royal capital. The whole Nanman kingdom was shaken, and all the southern barbarian vassal kings couldn't sit still. Among the 10 vassal kings who had pledged their allegiance to Ji Yufei, only North King sent troops. The other vassal kings were watching. However, North King could not put out a nearby fire. By the time he led his troops to the Nanman royal capital, it would be too late. Since they had pledged their allegiance to Ji Yufei, they should send troops. However, the 9 great vassal kings were actually watching. This angered little Ya. However, little Ya couldn't control the situation at all, let alone these vassal kings. This made her feel very helpless. Powerful cultivation and combat power were the most practical. Little Ya was still too young. Those vassal kings were all arrogant and unruly people. How could they be willing to listen to a little girl? East King was indeed the most powerful vassal king in Nanman. He personally led a 1,000,000-strong army and charged towards the Nanman royal capital with irresistible force. Everywhere they passed, Ji Yufei's army couldn't stop the advance of East King's army. This was mainly because the 9 great vassal kings were watching. These guys, Ancestor Tian Hong had no choice but to take action. He actually fought against East King's army alone. It had to be said that this guy's array Dao cultivation was not bad. He had set up layers of killing arrays along the route that East King's army had to pass through. He had even taken out his trump cards. Then, East King's million-strong army was blocked by Ancestor Tian Hong. This guy had no choice but to risk his life because his life was in Ji Yufei's hands. Ji Yufei could kill him with just a thought. Tian Hong, in East King's main tent, East King directly smashed his cup. Ancestor Tian Hong was once the Array Dao Patriarch of Towering Heaven Palace. He was known as the world's #1 Array Dao expert. His Array Dao was really amazing. If he hadn't met Ji Yufei, who in the entire Void Realm could surpass Ancestor Tian Hong in terms of Array Dao cultivation? My lord, what do we do now? In the main tent, a group of generals looked at East King, who was sitting on the throne. Military advisor Shu, what do you think? East King asked a middle-aged man holding a feather fan who was standing at the side. The middle-aged man pondered for a while and said, My lord, there is someone who can compete with Ancestor Tian Hong in terms of Array Dao. However, this person has a strange temperament. If you want to invite this person, I'm afraid you have to come personally. There is someone in this world who can compete with Ancestor Tian Hong. Chapter 50-24. The Void Realm was huge, but it was still too small for Ji Yufei. After he came out of the ancestral vein deep under the Nanman royal capital, he immediately went to find little Ya. When Xiao Ya saw her master suddenly appear, she was pleasantly surprised. The matter that had caused her so much trouble was no longer a problem with the appearance of her master. Ji Yufei learned about the current situation of Nanman from Xiao Ya. Very good. I've only been in seclusion for a few days. Those guys can't stand it anymore. Ji Yufei didn't make a move because he wanted to watch the show. Don't tell anyone that I'm out of seclusion. Ji Yufei said to Xiaoya. Yes, master. Xiao Ya accepted the order. The matter of Ji Yufei coming out of seclusion, only Xiaoya alone knew. Xiao Ya walked out of the palace hall. No one knew that a powerful person who could change the situation in the south had come out of seclusion. Haha, what East King? What sorcerer tribe? What's the use even if you jump into the sky? Xiao Ya was in a good mood. At this time, the 9 great vassal kings were still watching from the sidelines. They were gathering their troops to protect themselves. They were the typical fence-sitters. However, they seemed to have forgotten about Ji Yufei's methods. Fence-sitters would not have a good ending with Ji Yufei. At that moment, both the East King and the sorcerer tribe were still walking on the path of death. In little Ya's eyes, they were really too stupid. The death of the Witch King, Wu Ying, was still not enough to deter these ambitious people. East King's million-strong army was stopped in front of the Sky Scorpion Mountain by the layers of killing arrays set up by Patriarch Tian Hong. This Sky Scorpion mountain range was crisscrossed with mountain ridges, like a huge scorpion lying on the ground. This was an important passageway from the eastern region of southern barbaric land to the southern barbaric imperial capital. However, at this time, the killing intent of the entire Sky Scorpion mountain range soared to the heavens. The sky above the Sky Scorpion mountain range was covered in the color of blood. It was terrifying. Ancestor Tian Hong made use of the mountain terrain here to set up a Sky Scorpion killing array. This was an array within an array formed by countless killing arrays. East King's vanguard rushed in recklessly and suffered heavy casualties. Even the East King did not dare to barge into the array. One had to know that forefather Tian Hong was known as the world's #1 formation expert. Moreover, he was a half-step Emperor realm expert himself. Coupled with the support of the Array Dao, Patriarch Tian Hong would definitely be able to compete with the East King. At that moment, East King's strategist, Shu Qingyun, gave him an idea. He wanted him to invite an existence that could compete with Patriarch Tian Hong in terms of Array Dao. However, even the East King was shocked by Shu Qingyun's words. One had to know that Ancestor Tian Hong was recognized as the #1 Array Dao expert in the entire Void Realm. In this world, other than that freak Ji Yufei, Was there anyone else who could surpass Elder Qian Hong in terms of array skills? Mr. Shu, are you kidding me? Dong Wang looked at Shu Qingyun suspiciously. My lord, I still dare to joke with you at a time like this, Shu Qingyun said with a solemn expression. However, as far as I know, who else other than Ji Yufei can compete with Patriarch Qian Hong in terms of array skills? Dong Wang looked at Shu Qingyun curiously. The others also looked at their military advisor curiously. Sky Meteor Mountain, Shu Qingyun pretended to be mysterious and said. What, didn't that person fall 800 years ago? That person is still alive. Not only were all the generals in the tent shocked, but even Dong Wang was shocked. If that person from Sky Meteor Mountain was still alive, there would be a good show to watch. It's absolutely true. If Dong Wang is willing to part with something, you can definitely invite that person to come and help. At that time, let alone Patriarch Qian Hong, even if that Ji Yufei comes out of seclusion, we won't have to fear him. Shu Qingyun said coldly. What is it? Mr. Shu, tell us quickly. Even Dong Wang was anxious. At this time, what could be more important than him dominating South China and becoming the Lord of South China? Immortal fruit. Shu Qingyun said indifferently. What? Dong Wang was stunned. Immortal fruit. He had risked his life to obtain it. If a person ate the immortal fruit, they would immediately become immortal. If a cultivator ate it, not only would they become immortal, but they would also improve their cultivation. Moreover, immortality was only one of the effects of the immortal fruit. The most important thing about the immortal fruit was the word immortality. The immortal fruit could not only make Dong Wang immortal, but it could also give him an immortal body. Of course, an immortal body was actually relative. Even the eternal ones, who claimed to be immortal, would fall, let alone an immortal body. Dong Wang really couldn't bear to give the immortal fruit to that person. King Lord, we can't hesitate at this time, Shu Qingyun said anxiously. At this time, they had to kill their way to South China's capital and teach that Ji Yufei a lesson. If they could invite that person to come out, they wouldn't have to wait for Man Yu to come back from Extreme Demon Cave. Moreover, Extreme Demon Cave was extremely dangerous. It was hard to say if Man Yu could come back alive. Even if Man Yu could come back alive, he might not be able to defeat Ji Yufei. Dong Wang's expression changed several times, then he gritted his teeth. All right. Dong Wang threw caution to the wind. He could only help him achieve hegemony. So what if it was the immortal fruit? In that case, King Lord, let's leave for Mount Sky Meteor immediately. Shu Qingyun was surprised and happy. Actually, he wasn't very confident that he could convince Dong Wang. There was no time to lose. If Ji Yufei came out of seclusion, then everything they had planned would be for naught. With Ji Yufei's temperament, they would definitely die. They never thought that Ji Yufei had already come out of seclusion and was hiding in the dark to watch the show. Very soon, Dong Wang left the military camp with Shu Qingyun and another confidant without anyone noticing and headed straight for the Sky Meteor Mountain. Mount Sky Meteor was located at the border of South Barbarian and North Ruins. It was quite far from the eastern region of South Barbarian. Even an existence like Dong Wang would need a few days to reach Mount Sky Meteor. Mount Sky Meteor was a barren land. Everywhere they looked was scorched black. The whole mountain was made up of bare rocks. Not even a blade of grass could be seen, let alone flowers and trees. This is the blessed land of heavenly abode from 10,000 years ago. Dong Wang and the others were shocked when they arrived at Mount Sky Meteor. It should be known that 10,000 years ago, this was a rare treasure land. But now, it had become a wasteland. No one knew what had happened back then. No one knew why the myriad transformations heavenly sect, which had flourished for a time, had disappeared overnight. No one knew why this place had become a wasteland. Is that person really still alive? Dong Wang looked at Shu Qingyun and said with an ugly expression. King Lord, don't worry. That person is on the mountain. Shu Qingyun said confidently. That's good. Then I'll have to trouble Mr. Shu to lead the way. Dong Wang said. Chapter 50-25. The Sky Meteor Mountain was huge, but there were traces of a great battle everywhere. Huge pits could be seen everywhere, and the 1,000-foot-long ravine coiled around the mountain. No one knew how intense that battle had been, and no one knew why it had broken out. 10,000 years ago, this was the ancestral land of the Myriad Transformations Heaven sect. The Myriad Transformations Heaven sect was a colossus, and its sect master, the Myriad Transformations ancestor, was a monarch. In the Void Realm, sects with emperors overseeing them were all first-rate factions, and the Myriad Transformation Heaven sect was even more so a first-rate faction. It was truly unimaginable that someone could destroy this sect that had existed for countless years in a single night. In fact, everyone guessed that it was the Ling Tian Palace who had destroyed the 1,000 Transformations Heaven sect. After all, the entire Void Realm could destroy the 1,000 Transformations Heaven sect in a single night. Other than the Ling Tian Palace, which other force in the Void Realm had such ability? However, no one from Ling Tian Palace came out to say anything. This matter was complicated and confusing. It was still a secret to this day. This is a great battle between emperors. The moment Dong Wang and the others ascended the mountain, they sensed that something was amiss. The sovereign's aura had yet to dissipate. Ordinary cultivators would not be able to withstand the aura of the mountain, let alone ascending the mountain. Mr. Shu, would there still be people in this kind of place? Dong Wang's confidant was very suspicious. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth here was very thin. It was not a place for cultivators to stay. Brother Mu, you'll know soon enough. Shu Qingyun said mysteriously. The East King's trusted aide was actually Mu Tianfeng's second brother, Mu Gaofeng. The Mu brothers were the East King's trusted aides. This time, the East King had brought no one but Mu Gaofeng to the Sky Meteor Mountain. Mu Gaofeng said nothing more. Very quickly, under Shu Qingyun's lead, they ascended the Sky Meteor Mountain. Then, they saw that the mountain was small and there was nothing there. Seeing this, Dong Wang's expression didn't look so good. However, he did not act up immediately. Mr. Shu, Dong Wang didn't say anything, but Mu Gaofeng couldn't hold it in any longer. Shu Qingyun did not say anything. Instead, he leaped down from the mountain peak and instantly disappeared into the void. What? Dong Wang and Mu Gaofeng were shocked when they saw this. What was this guy doing? King Lord, come down. While Dong Wang and Mu Gaofeng were bewildered, a voice came from the bottom of the cliff. Dong Wang hesitated for a moment before he also leaped down the cliff and disappeared into the void. Seeing this, Mu Gaofeng had no choice but to choose even if he wanted to. He could only bite the bullet and jump down. The moment Mu Gaofeng jumped off the cliff, he knew that this cliff in front of him was an illusion. It was as if he had passed through a curtain of water, and then his eyes brightened. What appeared in front of him was a valley surrounded by celestial qi, like a paradise. There were many pavilions in the valley. At this moment, Mu Gaofeng saw Dong Wang and Shu Qingyun standing on a large rock. He quickly rushed over. Senior Myriad Transformations, Junior Shu Qingyun requests an audience. Shu Qingyun respectfully cupped his hands towards the valley. Dong Wang and Mu Gaofeng were so shocked that their jaws almost dropped to the ground. Could it be that the person Shu Qingyun brought them to find was actually the legendary Myriad Transformations ancestor? The Myriad Transformations ancestor was still alive. Dong Wang and Mu Gaofeng's hearts were already in turmoil. Scram! An incomparably old voice came from the depths of the valley. Senior, you don't want the immortal fruit anymore? Shu Qingyun smiled. What? The person in the depths of the valley was clearly shocked by Shu Qingyun's words. Immortal fruit. You actually have the immortal fruit. The old voice began to tremble. It's not me. Shu Qingyun was still smiling. You dare to fool me. The person in the depths of the valley was instantly enraged. The next moment, the entire valley darkened, and the entire sky seemed to press down. Even Dong Wang, who had the highest cultivation among the three of them, felt incomparably suppressed. Senior Myriad Transformations, don't be angry. Shu Qingyun was fearless. If you don't hand over the immortal fruit today, all of you will die here. The old voice sounded, and then a shocking murderous aura spread from the depths of the valley. The temperature of the entire world dropped rapidly. Senior, although I don't have the immortal fruit, my master does. Shu Qingyun said indifferently with his hands behind his back. Your master. Since when did the Shu family become someone else's slave? The person in the valley sneered. When Shu Qingyun heard that, the smile on his face immediately disappeared. Senior, I was kind enough to find the immortal fruit for you. Since you don't want it, let's go. Shu Qingyun's tone also changed. It turned out that the Shu family wasn't a small family in the Void Realm. However, this family was almost annihilated by the barbarian sovereign of Southern Barbarian. Only a few members of the Shu family survived. The reason why Shu Qingyun sided with Dong Wang was that he wanted revenge. But now, the barbarian sovereign was dead, and the entire Southern Barbarian was divided into 3 factions. He had no choice but to help Dong Wang fight for hegemony in Southern Barbarian. If it wasn't for Dong Wang, he, Shu Qingyun, would have died. Now, Shu Qingyun was repaying a debt of gratitude. Moreover, he wanted to personally kill Man Yu. However, it was hard to say if Man Yu could return from the extreme devil cave. Hihi, do you think you can leave after entering my myriad transformations immortal valley? The person in the depths of the valley sneered. The next moment, countless formation runes appeared in the void, enveloping the entire valley. What? Even Dong Wang couldn't remain calm when he saw this. He seriously suspected that the person in the depths of the valley was the legendary myriad transformations ancestor. Shu Qingyun actually brought him to the myriad transformations ancestor. No wonder Shu Qingyun said that this person could compete with the Array Dao ancestor of the Towering Heaven Palace, the Array Dao ancestor. Back then, only the founding ancestor of the Myriad Transformations Immortal sect, the Myriad Transformations ancestor, had the same cultivation base as the Array Dao ancestor. The two of them were known as the Array Dao duo. Senior Myriad Transformations, if we weren't prepared, why would we come to find you so easily? Shu Qingyun was still calm. The person in the depths of the valley was silent. Ha ha, after a while, a burst of laughter came from the depths of the valley. Good, the people of the Shu family really have guts. Come on in. The person in the depths of the valley laughed. Shu Qingyun didn't hesitate. He jumped down from the boulder and walked along the small path into the depths of the valley. Dong Wang followed closely behind. As for Mu Gaofeng, he brought up the rear. They walked all the way into the valley. The spirit qi in the valley was extremely abundant. It was the complete opposite of the outside world that had lost all signs of life. They even saw immortal birds flying in the sky and immortal beasts drinking by the lake. It was peaceful here.